Alrighty, I think we're live and hopefully our mics are working. Welcome everybody to episode 2 of TTRPG Talks. We are super excited to welcome the Basically Good podcast and Dragon Punch Squad podcast. Woo!
Yeah.
Hey, good.
Thanks so much for having us.
As
Yeah.
we lose a video and I have to rearrange people, hold up.
He's
Immediate.
gone.
Perfect.
No,
He's
John.
gone.
Oh no.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Oh no.
No, he's back. He's good.
There he
He's
is.
back. Okay.
See that beautiful face.
We're the best. Good start.
Getting it off to a great
We
start.
started like this last time too.
As I shift people to the wrong spots. Hey. All right. We're good. We're good.
Ah.
We're back. We'll cut that out of the podcast. It's fine.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So, to recap what TTRPG Talks is to anybody that doesn't know, what we're doing here is we're bringing different members of the community, the TTRPG community, together to talk basically everything TTRPG. We're going to talk a little bit about, TTRPGs themselves, such as like favorite stuff, cool moments, everything that we, whatever we ramble onto, as well as a little bit about podcast/streaming themselves, like, a little bit behind the scenes look, as well as people's goals and what we're looking towards, and of course, anything anybody's has in the works, anything they wanna say, and everything like that. But to start, let's start with introductions. So I will start. I am Syrup from Waffles Maple Syrup, and I am a player and co-person on Waffles Maple Syrup. I don't know how to say that.
Co big
Producer.
time CEO. That's what we call
There
it.
we go. Yeah, all those things. I like it.
Yeah. I am Waffles. I'm the GM of Waffle Maple Syrup and the other person.
Great office structure.
Yeah.
in Waffles Maple Syrup.
Person one, person two.
One person too.
Seamless.
Basically,
Go ahead, take it away.
Okay, I'll go.
Okay.
Sorry, Silas. I'm Zach. Zach Haley. I play Urkel Short on the Basically Good podcast, and I manage like half of the social media, and then the other half is by someone who isn't here right now. But
Nice.
yeah, excited to be here.
I am Silas. I play Frizzigig on the Basically Good podcast. And I do other than playing Frizzigig, I don't know. I do random stuff. Nothing. I don't have an official role. Mostly just a player. And
He
some other
produces
things.
content. He does.
Hey,
Yeah,
Drawings
random
and
content and yeah.
I mean, the random stuff person is someone we've been trying to hire for recently. No, I'm just kidding.
we'll shoot him a resume. Shoot him a resume.
yeah.
We're looking
Yeah.
for random person 3.
I'm Jake. I am the GM, CEO, and editor of the Dragon Punch Squad podcast. I do a little bit of the social media too, but there's two other guys that handle that, so I hardly get on.
At least you have your titles down, so that's a step better than we do.
I made them up
true.
right now, so
Confidence is like half the battle.
Man.
Well, I am John Grunflint from the Dragon Punch Squad podcast. I play Sir Benson Black, and my camera just died again.
That's okay.
And I don't have any title. I am literally just an actor.
Perfect.
That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you guys very, very much. We are super excited to have you on the show. Thank you for taking the time and for Dragon Punch for the last minute flexibility. You guys are absolutely amazing. So let's start with a little bit about each of your podcasts as well. Podcast / stream life, if you guys are streaming, and a little bit of insight into what you guys do.
Yeah, absolutely. We can run around. Silas, I'll you can chat about the actual show. I'll plug what we got going on outside of the show.
Okay.
We do have a stream life. It's very scattered. Where we don't stream currently any of our shows, but actually tomorrow we're going to be doing our very first like live one shot to raise money for a direct relief. They're a charity that
Cool.
provides like adequate PPE across the globe for caregivers, medical personnel, just kind of during the always, I think, but especially now during this like pandemic, that's what they're we're going to be gearing it towards that. So that will be taking place tomorrow at 6 o'clock Central Time.
Tomorrow,
7 o'clock
6 o'clock
Eastern.
Central, 7 o'clock Eastern. Everybody pay attention in chat. We're going to be there.
Yeah,
Yep.
amazing. It's donations are going to affect gameplay. We have a whole menu set up to where you can screw people over, help the party along,
That is
come up with
amazing.
relics worth gold and stuff. So
on
it'll
you
be a
guys.
really good time. But it's super sweaty right now. I'm going to be the GM and I'm super sweaty.
Ooh.
So a lot of pressure.
You're doing a
but-
great job so far, though.
Well, thank you, Silas. And
I
with
am
that, we'll pass it
excited.
back
Know
over.
that. For the podcast we are the Basically Good podcast. We started as, I guess, like a few friends playing D&D in college. We all went to the same college. We're all now college. We all across the country pretty much. But we started doing a podcast, and we started in January. It's Zach and I, and our DM's name is Chance, along with a guy named Ronnie, a guy named Jackson. We have a lot of fun. We release episodes weekly. You can find us anywhere you hear or want to listen to podcasts. Come check us out. We're having just a great time. We think we're fun, I guess. Hopefully you do too.
Yeah. We're running Pathfinder 2nd Edition Age of Ashes
Yes.
right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
So I think that's what you guys are doing too, right?
Yeah. Dragon Punch Squad is also doing that one. Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
It's been great.
And what a great transition for
Yeah,
I was like,
I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
so
take
we-
Take it away, Jake.
Take that segue. So we are so the Dragon Punch Squad podcast. We like to get around the table and we like to record like that. Most recently we put out episode 17, and we also had to say we don't have any more episodes. After the stay-at-home order and stuff like that, we
Sure.
could not get together. And so, I didn't want to sacrifice the quality of being at the table and having that interaction like that, because it's so much different than doing it on Twitch. So in the meantime, we're just streaming Saturdays or as much as possible every Saturday. Right now, we're just going through Pathfinder Society stuff. So my brother-in-law, Kelly, he's the one who's been running them, but we're going to be doing rotating GMs and stuff like that.
That is really, really awesome.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
Nice.
I get what you're saying about the decision. It's a hard decision, but
Yeah.
you're not the only one that I've heard kind of, on Twitter and stuff say things like that, and it's good that you guys are able at least to like get on Twitch and do the things that you can do in the meantime.
Yeah.
Yeah, personally, we're a group of guys that have been playing together for so long. We just know each other so well, and we just know that we can play on Twitch, but it's just not the same. It doesn't feel the same, and we care about the main podcast too much.
Yeah.
So it just felt awkward.
No,
Mhm.
and that's completely legitimate. A little bit about us actually. It'll be interesting for those that are popping in again. You guys might hear a couple of repeat things from us, but for anybody new, we will probably give a quick little rundown as to us as well every time. But it is a fit to what you guys were saying, because we have a all online group, but that's also how we started. So our dynamic was kind of built off of that, and it works. I hope. I hope you guys are enjoying it, but we've also, in the not streamed or anything like that, but prior to all of this, we had an in-person game that we were doing just because we wanted that different dynamic as well. And it's not the same online. You're right. Like, it's just not, unfortunately. But regards to what we do stream, we have 2 campaigns currently, which is Waffles' Homebrew, which is our flagship campaign. It's called Time Has Passed. It's about time travel and saving the world from calamities that happened, and it's pretty cool. We're getting up into the levels there, and some dramatic reveals are going on. And we more recently started Pathfinder 2E's Extinction Curse AP. which has been fun too. Anything to add?
That like
Rose?
just came out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
that's one of their
Ooh.
recent APs. The only thing I like to add is kind of where Time Has Passed came from. So we were all going to start. We're all 5e players,
Yeah.
and we decided to start Pathfinder 2e for the first time. And I was trying to concoct a way in my head to make my players happy because I knew they were going to want to play a lot of different classes. They're just going to want to try out everything the first time they play a game. So basically, the idea is every time that they go back in time, that they get to quote unquote load in as a different character.
That's
so they
cool.
could
Ah,
kind
that's
of
really
build their
cool.
classes
That's neat,
every
I like that.
time, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
If
they're
they
really
want to,
enjoying it.
you could be a loser like me and just go back to the same exact
Yeah,
one
who's
every
played the
time.
same one.
I would do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Gotta learn that.
But there's
character.
definitely some
Mhm.
downfalls also to loading into a different character. Like some
Yeah.
people have found out, like, oh, we're going to fight undead people. I'll be a cleric, but they're
Yeah.
starting to like lose memories, that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, he made it really interesting to
Oh.
like pros and cons. If you, which we only found out in character recently, so spoiler alert. But basically, like if you keep the same character, you have an easier time remembering like each jump. But if you start switching it up, then you start getting confused as to like whose memories you have and stuff. So that's really cool. Which also,
That's neat. That's really neat.
yeah, really reliant on the players to not metagame.
Yeah.
Totally.
Right. Yeah.
But I think we've been doing pretty good.
which I will use that to slide into a good one. What is your guys' biggest pet peeves at the table?
Ooh,
Oh man.
I've got a pretty strong one.
go.
All right.
That's just when
Okay.
people aren't paying attention.
Mm.
Yes.
Somebody's looking at their phone and they're just not like just there with the entire group of people. Like everybody's decided we're gonna spend this time and play D&D
Right.
together.
Absolutely.
Somebody's just doing their own thing. It just ticks me off.
It's harder, honestly, when online because you can't like. We don't always do cameras. We started it. We stopped recently. We'll probably pick it back up eventually. But like, you know, just on Roll20 without cameras, you can't know exactly what is going on. And like, I hope you're paying attention, but it's less like I can't look at you in the eyes and like talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just ready to finish a big like scene and then the person not respond to me because they walked away. Thankfully, my players are way better than that. But
Sorry, I'm back. I needed more snack.
Sorry, what was that? You're dead. John, have you like developed any like homebrew rules or something like that to the table that kind of help with that, or do you just have like a disclaimer that you guys kind of try to talk to your players about?
Well, I've never been a DM. I'm
Still,
a career player. I mean, I would have to think about that a little bit. I would just say if you're not paying attention in this plane, you're not paying attention in the game. So you didn't
Yeah.
hear it. You didn't hear it.
that's true. Yeah,
I like that.
like
Yeah.
it's in character. Guess you don't know it. Sorry. Yeah, I like that. Anybody else? Pet peeves at the table or virtual table?
Yeah, I
I'm
guess
very. Oh, you go
Oh,
first.
go
you
ahead,
go
Sive. It's bound
They're
to
so
happen.
polite. They're so
I mean,
polite.
no, you. Yeah, I guess I would say like, and it's oh boy, I have to like word this carefully because I don't want to offend anyone.
Say it.
But
Do
like,
it.
I've done both. I mean, I started out as a DM because I really wanted to be a DM, and I like again 5e player, like pretty basic compared to Pathfinder. And I kind of learned the rules as I went. But I was always like, you know, as a DM, you're trying to weave like a really good story. And a lot of times you're going in with the idea like, well, they're heroes. Like we're going to let the heroes be heroes. And when people design a character that's not necessarily a hero and it kind of clashes with the story. And I know that's like very pumpkin spice latte, like when, you know, well, that's just what my character would do. I hate that. As a DM, I hate that. As a player, it's really fun to like throw wrenches in the game and see what would happen. And
For sure.
but the idea of like, okay, so the princess is in the castle. What do? Burn down the castle. Okay. Like, let's
All
like,
right.
that's a great game. Good night, everyone. You know, like,
Yeah.
so just
I mean,
those wrenches that don't go along with the story, you know, and not even like a little bit. Like if it's fully like canceling it out,
I
and
feel like
there's too much conflict, it's like,
yeah, I feel like there's two kinds of like
Mm.
wrenches, like you're talking about. Like, there's the kind where, you know what, you did something the DM just completely didn't expect, but it's in character, or you thought
Totally.
outside the box, you know, okay, kudos to you. And then there's the ones that are like, well, are you playing the game? Like, do you want to play the game? I guess is the question, because
yeah.
like you said, like, oh, well, I'm just gonna go off and do something else. Like, well, then why are you here? Like, why are you
Yeah.
Yep.
joined?
We're not playing as a team or whatever.
Right.
And
Mhm.
I
Waffles
played
has
my
like
father-in-law recently. Oh,
Yeah,
go ahead.
No.
For the most part, all the players' characters should have a somewhat of a similar goal. So
Yeah.
you know, if four people meet up, you know, for you know, it's like a Pathfinder Society scenario or whatever, and all of a sudden the guy, and all of a sudden the person's like, "Yeah, I got something else I got to do as a character." It's like, you're in the Pathfinder Society.
This is what you do.
Your
Your
job.
character literally signed up for this.
Yeah. Which is like kudos to like the structure of Pathfinder Society that's built
Yeah.
in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. What were you gonna say, Zach?
I was gonna say like my, and again, it doesn't even have to be like a full fledged like. More like, okay, so my father-in-law played like first edition when he was growing up, like D&D. So he like was very like trope heavy barbarian that smashed through walls. And so we were playing a one shot of Curse of Strahd's Death House, and he was like smashing through this mansion, like, and it was just like, it was very funny, you know, because it was very traditional D&D. But everybody else is like, I'm investigating the desks and the bookshelves and underneath the rug, and he's like, I slammed through the fireplace, you know. Very just like, that's more of a like funny situation.
Yeah.
But
Right.
I think everybody gets what I'm saying. So.
Mhm.
Amazing. I mean, it's a way to play, you know? Can't...
Totally. And I'm more than happy to let him do it. You know,
Yeah, in the
You hit
end,
the
it's
fireplace.
about matching the play style, because, you know, you have those that want to play like that, and you have those that want to not even like with the exploration in terms of kind of what you were saying, but like even RP modes, like I want to stand and talk to people for a bit and get like heavy into that kind of emotional payoff and things like that. And then there's those that are like, I'm just not comfortable with that, and
Sure.
I want to
Yep.
summarize, you know, okay, well, I talked to him about this. This is what information do I get, and let's move on. So
I
Absolutely.
roll a persuasion check. Tell me what I get.
And I mean, again, like, is that necessarily my way to play? No, but is it, you know, if you find a good match and a good group that fits your play style, that's kind of the magic that you can make it work for any kind of combination, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Definitely interesting. So speaking of that, what is your preferred like play style, I guess? You guys, and both your personal one and how the dynamic of the podcast that you guys have been putting out has been kind of going. Like, are you guys very RP heavy? Are you guys very you know, do you guys have combat every episode, things like that? Like, have you guys built this?
Well, the DPS podcast, that we all really like storylines, so we are a very heavy roleplay podcast. We just always
Yeah.
have been.
Yeah, we it's like I would say it's like 30% like combat, and then like another like 40% is like the role play, and then another 30% is just us not being able to stop laughing at something really stupid.
That's the
Uh,
best.
Yeah, and those are some of the funniest episodes. I think it was like episode 12. There was a point where I just couldn't take it anymore. I was just in tears, and like I left it in because it was just so funny. And that's definitely one of the things. Like a lot of people really like combat focused stuff. A lot of people really like role play focused stuff. But one of the things that I really like about actually playing around the table like that is just the way that things will go so off the rails and just very funny in a meta sense.
Right.
It's that's one of the things that I really wanted to capture on the podcast. It's just, it's, you know, 4 brothers or 5 brothers all sitting together playing, And yeah, it's just so much fun when you like incorporate all of it together very seamlessly.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate like leaving that in. That's half the
Mm-hmm.
fun when you listen to a group of people and start to get to know them both, as their players and characters separately,
Mhm.
as well as like the dynamic and everything.
All right.
Do you guys do voices as well? Like, do you guys get into like accents?
Oh,
and
I
stuff?
have a ton of voices. Yeah, I have
Yep.
I have a bunch of voices. In Age of Ashes, there's a lot to do with this one goblin tribe. And so I have a bunch of different voices for all of these different goblins. And then I've just made character voices for all of these different guys. And
Yeah.
my wife will hear me just like I'll be like in the bathroom, like in the shower, and I'll be like practicing a voice and stuff. She's like, "You're so
Amazing.
yeah, that too." But
For me, I come up with a voice for virtually every single one of my characters.
Mhm.
Like I'm Benson Black on the podcast, but for a 5e campaign I'm in with Jake as well, I play a wizard named Cyrus Lupin, and I have, it just helps me flesh out a character, and it just makes
Get in
me
that
more
character.
comfortable
Mhm.
RPing in that character.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there's something to say about ease of differentiating between in and out of characters, like speech, just in that and of itself.
Yeah, totally.
I'll be honest, I'm not very good at it. I try. I want to be.
Oh, I'm the same way.
I'm just
I'm horrible
self-conscious.
for it.
And even
I-
as not very good, she's
Mhm.
better than me. I have about 2 speeds. I got girl voice and then my Alabama accent. And that's about all I got going.
He doesn't say that.
Nothing but corn-fed goodness.
If I can do a British accent, just every time I speak, it'll be from a different part of the.
Europe, yeah.
Yeah. But I try. It comes from the fact that I am bilingual. I think that's where it comes from.
Mhm.
Like having parents with accents and things like that, you start just hearing it a bit more.
Mhm.
Maybe, I don't know. That's my guess. What about
No,
y'all at Basically Good?
Yeah. Wait, are we still talking about voices, or
Yeah.
there was a question that led us there,
There
and I
was.
don't remember
Whatever
what
you
it
want
was.
to talk about.
yeah, I don't remember what it was.
We're just make it up. Make up a
I
question
need
to
Silas
answer.
to do his voices. I need you to do your voices
voice.
for everyone.
I want to
Silas.
hear voices. Let's go.
Oh, good.
So on the podcast, I play a tiny goblin alchemist. His name's Frizzigig. He's kind of like, he's like a rough old guy, and he talks like he's from, I don't know, like Boston or something.
Amazing.
I end up, whenever I make characters, I more often than not, I love doing voices. I always have. And half the time, I'll just find a voice that I think is funny, and then I'll just kind of write the character that fits that voice, because I love doing that. And then I'll just kind of like write a personality, like, that voice kind of sounds like this, and then be like, well, that person would be Druid, and they would do the, no, I love doing voices. I can't, if my character ends up having a boring voice, I end up really hating the character.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's
So to,
Silas is like our
so to
resident
backtrack just a
character.
little
go ahead.
bit, do you have any pet peeves at the table, Silas?
Oh, yes.
Oh.
I have one pet peeve that I can think of. I tend to be like pretty, I don't know, I have like a really high threshold for most things like that. Except for this one thing, and he's probably watching right now. I'm gonna call him out, Ronnie, who's in our podcast.
Get personal.
This was
other.
the first version of the podcast we did, which is when we were also in college and we were around a table. So yeah, we have one mic in the middle, and we were all rolling. And Ronnie would do this. It stressed me out. Oh, it stressed me out so bad. He would take his dice and he would roll them like really crazy, and like
Oh,
this.
yeah.
He would just like throw them up in the air and throw his dice everywhere. And it just stressed me out because I sat right next to him. The dice would just be flying. They'd go off the table. I never told him that, but like it's so bad. There you
Well,
go,
Ronnie, if you're
Now we
hearing
know.
this,
The shout out.
now it's
Trying
personal.
to hit the,
No, yeah.
he's trying to hit the tray from 15 feet away.
Yes, no,
Right.
exactly. Yeah. And the more dramatic the moment or the more important the roll, the bigger his throw was. You know?
It's
It was
yeah,
just,
as Basic Bernie in chat says, emotion dictates emotional rolls, you know? You get really
Yeah.
into it. You just go,
So
Exactly.
Basic Bernie is Ronnie.
oh. Well, all
That's
right.
so funny.
I helped you defend
That's so
yourself on the
funny.
podcast version too now. There you go.
I love it. That is actually too funny.
That is really funny.
All right, first roll when you guys are back, Ronnie. I expect you just to chunk those dice.
And you throw it right at his
Straight at his
microphone,
head. Oh, I mean,
Big rolls.
angry.
Get one of those old timey slings that you got to put a rock in, and swing
Oh.
around.
Sling it
Just
from
play in a
across the room.
hallway so that you have to go all the way down.
Make sure no one comes out and you kill someone.
I will
Just open your
personally.
enemy's kneecap.
There we go. Carrick beat me to it. I will personally buy you some like heavy metal dice to
Oh,
go
yeah.
with it.
That's like the only thing I imagine when thinking about dangerous dice is like metal dice.
Yeah.
Right.
I have a
I
set.
worry for the
They're
table.
so dangerous.
I don't know. I saw one of the dice you guys made, them the crystal with the red dice, and it looked like
Oh,
someone
yeah,
stepped on the
if,
D4.
Yeah, these
Those
ones.
look
They're supposed to get
dangerous.
shipped off. I need to go to the post office.
Those are the sharp
super
edge
sharp.
dice, and they got the little red part that looks like blood. And those things look dangerous.
They are. Yeah,
Looks like they were
absolutely.
already
That's why they're in a
dangerous.
jar.
Mm.
Like need them wrapped in bubble wrap. Yeah.
Yes. Oh man. Okay.
Yeah, Jake, did you talk about your pet peeve? I don't think you did.
Ooh.
Ooh.
No. So I've been playing for 20 years. Okay. And in that time I've GM'd for probably 10. And I love bringing in new players. But one of the things that bothers me is when experienced players still don't know their character after playing for like ever. Like when
Point at
it's like
waffles.
like when I hear a player who will like go to attack and then the GM will say, all right, you hit, and then they go and roll some damage, and then they'll be like, all right, let me see what's my damage. It's like, how do you
Hmm.
not like you've been playing this character for like
Yeah.
5th level or something, and it's like you should know that by now. And maybe it's just because like I will literally spend a month making a character, writing a 4-page backstory, making sure I know literally everything about it.
Yeah.
And then maybe it's just because like I put so much work into it. I'm like, how do you not know?
I should clarify, when I said point to waffles, I didn't mean that he does that. I meant that's one of his biggest pet peeves as well.
Oh, okay. All right.
I will defend my players and say they get a pass, since sometimes they make the brand new characters when they jump into the past, and they'll be like, "Oh, new level 7 character. What does this do?"
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is a little complicated for us as well because, there's two parts to it. Like you said, there's breaking in new characters in the sense of, or new players, rather, in the sense of, being brand new to a system. And even if we have a lot of experience in 5e, this was our first enter into Pathfinder 2e, with many people having zero, not even like Pathfinder 1, like nothing. It's just a brand new system.
Mhm.
And that is always like a difficult transition. But at the same time, we're level, what are we, 8 now? So
Yep.
After a point, you gotta get together.
Gotta get it. I
Yeah.
will continue to say that my biggest pet peeve forever is true metagaming, where someone like loads in as a cleric and they're like, well, holy energy hurts undead always.
Oh.
So
Sure, yeah.
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 now if you ask the question, if you're like, does my character know this? That's fine. It's more along the lines of, yes, this happens always, period.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
hmm
I will say, and I feel like, yeah, Jake would, if I played at his table, he would roast me because and it's not even kind of like, oh, what's my damage? I'll be like, okay, is it the first sheet it's on or like the item sheet? Like I'm like just scrolling through and I'll get back and be like, okay. And then just the other night, Silas, yeah, we played and I was adding 3 to my damage instead of 7. because
Oh, yeah.
I was mixing like 5th
Oh,
edition
no.
rules or something the
Oh,
whole
yeah.
time. So and
Oh, yeah.
our DM is like, I feel bad. I'm like, don't. I'm the worst. I did it to myself. I've done it to myself. I deserve this. So
Yeah.
We have a player exactly like that.
I'm awful.
It's okay. I have when we're playing, I'll have we have like the PDF version of the Pathfinder 2 core rulebook. I will have like 5 different tabs of it open, all pointed to different spots in the rule.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because I just cannot remember them.
Yeah, and then with
I'll-
tags, it's not the same as in 5e at all. It's not, you have a lot
yeah.
of different pieces to
Yeah.
I don't even know if say memorize, but just be able to call back to all
For
the
some
tabs.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
some
totally.
help though, and to shout out one of our favorite people, there's a site called Archives of Nethys.
Oh
Nice.
yeah.
Use
Yes.
it whenever we
Amazing.
whenever we
Yes.
play.
He
Devour
is awesome.
them.
He pops in every once in
Yeah.
a while to our streams, and we super appreciate you.
You're
Shout out.
kidding me.
What?
Wow.
Oh my
I
god.
feel like that's
Nah.
celebrity status.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's-
that's like
I
that
feel
site
too.
is
It's a
the
big deal.
jam.
Anytime he comes
Yeah.
on, we're just like, nah, we do like a Critical Role's D&D Beyond ads. We'll do our
Yeah.
fake little Nethys. Except it's not fake because we
This
honestly
stream's
use it
officially
all the
sponsored
time.
by.
oh yeah.
He'll be like,
On
"No,
a
it's
normal
not."
day. On a normal day, I have 10 of those tabs up.
Yeah,
I don't even need to
exactly.
be playing. I just be researching.
Just checking.
Yeah.
I feel like our DM does that. Our DM will be like, hey, just in case, like if you guys wanted to know how to smuggle a gargantuan beast out the door, this is the bulk it has. And he'll just like text just like stuff, just like
Just always like piddling around on there.
weird
finding-
data.
Yeah. It's so
Just
funny.
in case.
Very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 35 bulk, by the way. That's
Oh.
the answer
That's
to
what he
this.
said.
Yeah,
Oh wowza!
Good. Let me write that down.
He gave me, I think he gave me a like a DC for if I wanted to like try to pick the lock of a bank vault, and it was like 65 or something. No robbing the
Man,
bank
oh,
for us
man.
anytime soon.
I think what we need to implement soon, and I think it'll be super useful, is like each person be responsible, like share the load a little. Like each person, we were talking about it earlier as Waffle nods here.
Yes.
Like has a section that they're in charge of knowing, so that when rules come into question or something like that, and I don't think it should always be on the DM. Like obviously
Yeah.
they have a lot of other things to be juggling already, so why can't the player be like, I'll do ACs and like armor, hardness and all that good stuff.
Yep. Like I imagine just us being in a fight and being like, all right, you have this, this, and this condition. Carrick, what do these conditions do again since you're that rules master?
Right.
That's really
We-
helpful.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
We do have a rules guy, a music guy, a loot
Hey.
guy. We have assigned like you make sure you know what you're picking up and who's picking it up, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
everybody kind of manages that. Oops.
You said
and that's been
music
helpful.
and you said music and loot guy. I thought like loot, like a bard.
Oh,
Oh yeah, we have a loot guy.
Yeah, there's a guy with a
yeah.
It's a
Loot
separate guy
guy,
that
he's-
just
Well, a
stands in
loot
the
guy
back
and a
with the
loot guy,
loot the
really,
entire
yeah.
time.
Now I'm always going to think I'm the loot guy. Like I have a loot in the. That's so funny. Thank you. Only one thing tonight. It's that.
I'm going to flip the script a little bit unless someone has
Okay.
something to add there, because I don't have necessarily a particular pet peeve that hasn't been mentioned, I should say. So I'll flip it to what I give like extra kudos for instead. And to me, that's going to be the people that actively choose to give themselves a handicap in character for whatever reason. Because we were talking a little bit about like metagaming knowledge and things like that. And just as often as you could say, like, yeah, I know positive energy should affect undead always, but hey, does my character know that? To do the opposite, to give your character some quirk that like goes against what the best decision is. Like, would this potentially hurt me? Yes. Am I gonna do it anyways because that's what they would do? Hell yeah. Like, that's
Yep.
you get so much kudo points for that.
One of my favorite, I'll jump in and then let everyone else just take the reins and run with it. But I played a human ranger his name was Jimmer, and he was a he was a hunter of a sorts, but he didn't want to kill people. So I rolled it. It was in 5e, so I rolled it disadvantage on people, on humans, basically.
Ah,
Humanoid.
Anytime
cool.
he shot at them,
Mhm.
Yeah, that's cool.
he didn't want to be a murderer.
Nice.
I had a group that I was DMing. We were doing a one shot for, and this one guy, like we were like just kind of having fun, right? So you could make a character with just like stats all over the place, and he wanted to make one had like a bunch of stats. He was a barbarian, and he wanted to tank his intelligence in light of like physical stats. I said, well, if you want to have an intelligence that low, like we should make it like you should have a consequence. It'll make it like just like for like fun. And so he said, like, he's only allowed to talk in like really simple, very small sentences and like the whole time. Like he had to be like role playing the whole time. But there was a puzzle and the group could not figure it out. And I looked over and he figured it out. But he realized that his character couldn't figure it out. And he was trying so hard to like give hints in these super simple sentences and ideas.
Nice.
And his brain was working so hard to like talk through that lens and he couldn't do it. And it was like, see, I knew what the answer to the puzzle was and I knew what he was doing. And so I just was laughing at them and it, anyway, like, so I also appreciated him for taking that negative to himself and making it more fun for the whole group.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
That's really awesome. And the player working overtime on brain capacity to actually
Yes,
play
yeah.
a less intelligent character is great. Oh,
Exactly. The dumber character made him have to be smarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah, with all the like the years that I had playing, one of the things is that like in the 5th edition game that John and I are in on the weekends, whenever we come up against a creature, our DM will like give like a sentence of a description, and all of a sudden I'll just be like, oh no, and then the whole
Yeah.
table will look at me, and I'm like, we don't want to fight this, and they're like, why? And I'm like, I literally can't. I shouldn't tell you. I can't tell you.
Yeah.
But this is going to be very painful, and we're not going to have fun.
Yep.
I like not knowing all the creatures. I
Mhm.
relatively am new to new relatively, really, like a couple years now, but compared to like Waffles' extensive 5e knowledge that he can like pull a character out and be like, oh yeah, these are its weaknesses, these are whatever. I'm like, no idea. Let me throw something and see what sticks. Like, I love it. I have that advantage, and I'm gonna keep that ignorance.
Mhm.
Yeah, I personally hate it, which is why any of my players will tell you that I change all of my monsters at least in one way or another. At least one thing about them is different from the book.
That's a good idea.
Mhm.
Yeah, yep.
That's the thing I hate the most about being like a DM and a player is finding the super cool like monster or trap or whatever for something that I'm running, and then I'll be playing and it comes up. Well, now I don't get the fun surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
And
think I cut you off, Zach. What's up?
Oh, I was just gonna say, like on top of that, like knowing kind of the when you realize it, like Jake was saying, like you're like, oh no, we don't want to fight this. Like the reason that he knows that is because he's had a very bad experience with that in the past.
Yeah.
Like usually it's coupled with like a terrible memory. Like we just fought a couple of things that just like kicked our butts a few episodes ago, and it's like I'm never gonna forget that stupid, that mega high AC beast that just kicked us, to the curb. So, I think I'm with you. Like, honestly, like I've played a lot of D&D quote, but only up to like level 3 on like all of my little campaigns. Like I've never played frequently enough to really spike. So once we get up into like higher levels and stuff in our podcast, I'm just getting less and less knowledgeable, and it's super scary. I just know I'm in some big trouble coming up here, but
Yeah.
is you can at least kind of prepare, like Jake was saying. You can be like,
Mhm.
even though my character doesn't know, like you're like, oh, we're gonna learn really fast. We don't need to be here, but I'll be like, ooh, that just looks like a giant cube of Jello. Let's go get it. Like it's gonna be super easy.
It's dinner time.
It's not a big deal.
I want to give kudos to one of our players, Coop Seamaster on Twitch, because he saved our butts last session, not going to lie, and it has to do with that because we rolled a knowledge check, or he did, or something like that, a episode prior about a rumor that we heard of like a place we were going to go to, about what creatures were there. And he rolled really well, and it was, great. We got a little idea of like, yeah, we think we might know who these are. Cut to next episode, he remembered, because there was like a huge reveal, it was a lot of drama. He remembered to pause and be like, well, this morning, as we're all preparing and we know we're heading towards this thing, would my character know if there's, like, based on that really good check from a session ago,
Oh yeah.
is there something that I would be able to prepare for? And Waffles was like, well, yeah, technically, you know this. And it saved our asses, because all of us were able to prepare something, and we were like actually ready for a fight, which never happens for us. We're always winging it in the
Oh, yeah.
worst possible way.
Oh,
So kudos to that, honestly.
Nice.
When it works in character, it works,
That's right.
For sure.
That's right.
One of the reasons why I like playing a wizard so much is because, you have a lot of knowledge about D&D monsters. You finally just get to say all the time, what is that? What is that? What is that?
It's in character. You can't get mad at me.
Yep.
I probably know. I probably do.
And
Exactly.
it doesn't work all the time, but when it does, it feels good.
Yeah.
You just hang on that. We'll roll an Arcana check.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Fully.
This is coming from Waffles, who played Grizz. What level did you get up to as a human wizard?
We got up to 14, I think.
Yeah.
Cool. Wow.
14 level wizard is so hype.
But didn't you have something
Yeah.
special for like intelligence and arcana specifically? You could not roll below like a 20, I swear.
Oh yeah, I basically took. At some point, I got to take expertise. I forget if it was a feat or whatever, and so I had like a plus 16 in Arcana and
Unfair.
5e, which is ridiculous.
That's insane.
Wow.
Our
You never
DM,
fail.
which
You
is-
always know way too much.
Yes.
Yes.
Carrick hated it. He was the DM for that. Good. Okay. Is anybody have a favorite something that they didn't say? You guys want to go from there?
What was that initial question you had mentioned? Oh, play style, I think.
We're so
I
good.
feel like this is how it's totally gonna go. Like for
Yeah.
every show going.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
Again.
we were talking about a topic, weren't we?
yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter
Oh,
what the
I
question
also-
was. Answer whatever you want to
We're,
say.
we're talking now.
Uh,
Yeah. I also remember last episode you said you're a huge fan of syrup, and I wanted to say this, so I'm going to say it now while I have the floor. There is a maple syrup farm like 20 minutes away from my house, and we go there for breakfast, and it is tremendous.
I'm
Oh my
listening.
God.
Oh man.
Right there.
amazing.
So I was gonna get you a bottle and send it to you, and I'll have to do it. So remind me. But
Oh my
anyway,
goodness.
play style. Going back on the
Wait, no, you
topic.
can't just skip over
Anyway.
the syrup. Hold on.
Wait, yeah.
I'm so sorry.
What's the
It's
name
really-
of the
it's that
place?
real-
What
It's called. I'll- It's
I'll
called
change the name of
Sprags.
the show to Syrup Talks. Let's go.
Syrup
Perfect.
talk.
Excellent.
We'll DM
Um,
later about it. It's fine. Go.
Yeah. We'll do it on the side right now. Play style. Going back to kind of what Jake was saying about knowing your character. I suck at combat. If that hasn't been said already, like
Plus
I'm
3,
not
not
good
plus 7.
with exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Suck at combat. I am no help in combat. I am a 6. My character is like a 6'7", 250-pound half-orc rogue. So he's not quiet. But so kind of a crappy build, but it's fine right now. But I love the RP. So it's very much kind of like what you were saying, stepping in and out of what we're doing into voice. He's got a British accent. He's like an old guy. So I'll kind of explain that I'm okay. He's going to run over to the table and pick up this pen and make sure that he's writing. But I'll even do that while I'm, my wife will come up and I'll be like, oh, just go ahead and put my son down for bed. That'd be great. So it's hard. I don't pop in and out very well.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
the RP, I feel like in our show, some of those, and Silas, you can attest, hopefully, and it's not too annoying, but I'm very like lean heavy that way. And they usually turn out like really good in our favor, except for that one time in town. But usually, that's where I like to play the most. You know, if you listen to all the greats, Pathfinder greats, Adventure Zone, goodness, Silas, help me. Who am I missing? Who's the one on
Glass
right
Cannon.
now? Glass Cannon.
Glass
Thank you.
Cannon, that's
Cannon,
the
Sorry, I'm
OG
sorry.
Pathfinder voice.
Good
Yeah.
fun, guys. Have a good night.
Bye.
We just lost 15 viewers.
We lost it. Bye.
But they have those moments that like are always like where you'll be listening and it's like you're like kind of on the verge of tears because there's so much like into this, like there's so much invested into this. And so building up to those scenes, you know, I think I live for that. And thank God our DM like throws us a bone every once in a while to like what we like to get.
Yes.
But right now, yeah, we're in the middle of a pretty hefty dungeon and I am zero help right now, unfortunately.
Absolutely. We have a question in chat from the
Ooh.
Basically Good podcast, but
All right,
Oh. Hi, Chance.
Give us the cue.
let's go.
what is a favorite moment in one of your shows that you've had? No spoilers.
So, favorite moment without spoilers.
Jake.
Let's see.
Okay. So, when I was reading through the Age of Ashes book, there were two characters that that they were going to come across, and I was so excited because one of the PCs was going to have a like a connection with these two PCs or with these two NPCs, and I had practiced the voices. I knew exactly how I was going to do it, and it worked out so perfectly because I ended it on a cliffhanger. And then the next episode, it like half of it was literally just roleplay with these characters, and everybody at the table was just laughing because everything fell in like a puzzle piece, and it was just so funny how well they meshed with these two NPCs. So you know, I guess I mean it's the episode's out, so I guess it's not necessarily like a spoiler. But like Kezra in the show, he gets some very devout followers. And he treats them like absolute garbage, but they still love him anyway. And so whenever a roleplay comes up with them, I always make them just have like the most like pathetic and like unyielding fealty to him, and it always gets a laugh. So
Amazing.
introducing these characters was just like one of my like most favorite moments.
I love that, honestly. John, do you have one?
Well, probably the most badass thing I've ever done. It's on one of our shows, but I won't tell you which one, so it's not technically a spoiler. I think the coolest thing I've ever done as a player was I pulled a mage as a fighter into his own flaming sphere and killed him with it.
Nice.
That's insane.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
And I was a gnome too.
Makes it all the more visually
Oh
good.
man.
As far as actual cool things I've done playing the game, that's probably about as cool as it's going to get for me.
I like it.
Oh man, I have to go back. What's the favorite moment? Okay, just a favorite moment. Silas, do you have one?
I have one. This was from the first version of the podcast we did. We were doing the oh no, what was it called? Skulls and Shackles, the first Pathfinder first edition adventure path, and
That's a great AP.
It was awesome.
It was really fun.
It's so
it was
good. It's
so,
so much
fun. We just did the first chapter, but one of our guys, Jackson, he had this moment. Like there's at some point there's a storm on you're on a pirate ship, right? And there's a storm, and Jackson's character was this like halfling. Swashbuckler. Yeah. And he had to like climb the rigging in a storm. It was like really intense, and he like failed some like climb checks. It was really intense, and he was like 30 feet up in the air, first level character. If he fell, he would die.
Yeah.
He was high enough up that it was like if he falls, he dies. And I can't remember exactly. Maybe he had like a hero point and he used one for something. but it was super intense. We were all just on the edge of our seats, and then he like kept rolling these climb checks over and over again, and just barely made it. And we all just like cheered and went nuts.
I remember that.
He was
That was
so
awesome.
close to death. It was one of the most like intense D&D moments we'd ever had, and it was just like it was a 40-foot drop at a level 1 character. Like when you put it very plainly, it's very boring, but the context of everything,
Yeah,
made
it's the mood. The
yeah,
atmosphere.
yeah.
Everything
feel
as
like-
exciting as you
yeah.
want to make it.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 I feel like that's like the story of everyone trying to explain something that happened in their game to like anyone else but people at the table. You know, like it was so cool and this happened and it was amazing. You had to be there. And it was his father. Like we couldn't believe that it was his father, you know. Like,
And he was missing a hand
Intense.
now.
and he's missing
Yeah.
a hand, which totally leads into mine actually. And there's another boat one. I'm still doing a little like homebrew for a couple people in my neighborhood. We haven't played since this whole thing started. But I pulled some characters. I can't even tell you their names now. I pulled some characters out of like the Forgotten Realms, like lore, and pretty much put a captain of the ship that ended up getting his hand cut off by this other guy, like actually in the lore. And they lived that scene on the boat. So they were getting like boarded by another ship. And it turned into this like 1v1. The party was on a lower deck fighting a bunch of other guys, and the captains were up top just fighting. And the ship was sinking. It was just getting riddled with cannonballs, and it was on fire. And they ended up having to like pretty much just grab like a couple of people and like, we got to go. Like the ship is going down. They didn't bilge. They didn't put the fires out. They were just letting it go. So I'm left 1v1ing these captains while they're like getting in the boat, and I'm just rolling both sides. And as the ship was sinking underwater, the good captain, he had already gotten his hand cut off by this other guy. The good captain went like one last swing and missed. And the bad captain, as they're like in the water, just like runs his sword through the good captain's like lower jaw and kills him. And then that was it. They both just like crumpled into the sea and they both died. But
What
it
an
was a very
epic-
like cinematic, like,
Mhm.
and the good captain loses, you know, to the bad guy. It was
Man.
crazy. And it was all just dice rolls, you know.
Yeah.
So cool.
But even
yeah.
that, I think it's scientifically provable that it's one of the funnest places to fight in D&D is on a pirate ship.
I
Just so
need
fun.
that
Yeah,
now.
for sure.
I don't think I've had that experience yet. I need that
Oh, dude.
now.
Pirate ship in a storm with a kraken.
With the Kraken.
What
But
the
then
Kraken
I
for?
just would have to have Pirates of the Caribbean music playing in the background, and that would break the
Well,
stream.
that's required.
It's,
Yes,
it's the
yes,
first
yeah,
thing you go for on
required.
YouTube.
Yes, it's required. And you
You
get like
just-
Davy Jones theme
Take
playing.
the L on the copyright strike.
Yep.
Yeah.
You bite the
But-
bullet. It's necessary.
Disney can have this money. This is well worth the emotions we're gonna have.
Absolutely.
I think
Oh,
I
that's
think
so
I
funny.
can think of one pretty epic. I don't think I can beat the storytelling that Zach has, but
I'm sorry. Now I want to go play. I'm like, see you guys. Yeah, go play some more pirates.
now we're all hype, like, oh, let's play this. So this was actually a few episodes ago in the Time Has Passed campaign. Unlike John, I said which campaign, sorry. But
Oh no.
oh no, spoilers. So it was really intense because, you know, we were at a place where, like, story-wise, we're between factions and we don't exactly know who to ally with. So at the same time, you know, we don't want to make enemies yet of either side or anything like that. So it was just a very, like, strategically and political tense couple of sessions at that point. And we ended up in a giant encampment out in the middle of nowhere in the desert. And so they're nice enough to us and we're there, but we don't have most of our weapons for a lot of our players. And so we're like, okay, well, we're not in a good position, but we need to steal something from them. No big deal. So
No.
we're these little people there are fire giants walking around. There are stone giants, and there is one
One storm giant.
stone giants, and then one big guy who's a storm giant. As I enunciate. And so we're like, okay, what are we gonna do? We have, and this is Pathfinder, so what spells you have were prepared. You can only use a certain amount of time. It was like really intense, and Carrick, our player, goes off and hides during this one moment, and dimension doors into the person's house to get this thing. Now, he has
All right.
no strength, and this is a giant-sized place. So, okay, sweet, we did
boy.
it. We have the spell for this. This is going to be amazing. He's in there. We're out. We have no idea what's going on. Oh, God, we hope he makes it. In the meantime, he's making these ridiculous rolls. Like, the amount of nat 20s that night was absolutely insane. And we're like, oh, my
Perfect.
God, we got it. We're going to get this thing. I can't believe this is happening. He only had one dimension door. So how are you going to get out?
Ooh.
We're like,
Oh no.
fuck. So then shit goes south pretty quickly, and it's this like standoff because nobody wants to start the fight. Not even the giants, because they don't exactly know what's going on. So we're like, oh, this is really tense. We're all trying to like put together a story as to like we don't know where he went. He's not one of ours. What's going on here? And like, do we betray him? Do we save him? What's going on? At one point he's on the roof, and we're like, it was so intense, and it ended with me kind of having to. I'm spoiling a little bit too much here, but like it ended up with me like trying to play a con, and ended with him diving off the side of a cliff. You'll have to listen to see what happens.
Wow.
It was
Oh, boy.
so good.
Wow.
I'm looking it up. I'm doing it right now. Gotta see what happens.
Sounds like some
yeah.
fun hijinks.
Yeah, it was intense. Kudos Waffles for that intensity of the stalemate. It was like
That was one of my favorite times that you guys made a decision that probably wasn't the brightest, but you could have gained a lot from it. You
Mhm.
guys basically, you go into this giant encampment, they're going to take your weapons,
mhm.
and you also know that 2 to 3 of them are vastly outmatch you. Like the storm giant likely could have taken all of you by himself,
Yeah.
and like you guys knew this from like rolls and stuff, and you're like, we need this, let's go.
What could possibly go wrong? Famous
Yeah.
last words.
Yeah.
It's not like giants are dangerous or anything.
What?
Nah.
But like, screw you DMs who like hang the carrot, and you're like, you really gonna fight him? Like,
Waffles
oh,
is-
that's so
is-
crazy.
Yeah, particularly good at being like, look, this is the scenario. I don't have the answer for you. You guys have to figure it out. Like,
That's
you need
so
this,
funny.
but you can't get it. What are you gonna do?
I
Absolutely.
looked it up for you. Episode title is Time for the Cliff Notes.
Eh.
I'm literally taking notes.
Oh.
Yeah.
we for our time has passed, because everything is time themed. We are working really hard, and it's going to run out, I'm sure, really soon, to make each episode title a time pun of some kind. Like time or some version
yeah,
of time
yeah.
has to be in
Mhm.
there. The challenge.
I won't let it run out. We're in episode 28, and every episode has the word time in it, I think. So
Time or
I'm
clock?
ready.
I think we slipped on clock
Yeah.
once.
Clock
You made it
in
that
the
far,
face,
you
I
know.
remember that
You're probably
one.
gonna go
Yeah,
all the way.
28. I mean, I would have
Yeah.
made 10, maybe.
We're
it.
trying. Every time we are ready to release an episode, it's like a 10-minute session on the computer, like scrolling through, like, okay, let's get
It
some
is.
time puns here.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta pride myself for my dad jokes. My favorite so far, though, is my Extinction Curse one. It's a rat-tastrophe. I was so
I
happy.
saw that.
Ah,
I-
cool,
was so
yeah.
happy.
It's
That's
not
pretty
my
funny.
favorite. I hate it.
Wonderful.
Yeah, straight up, you're like, yep, they're low level. You could just rats. The
Yeah.
smallest little enemies snuck in there, but they're still like, I mean, you can make a rat battle pretty intense for
I'm pretty
you have
sure
9
someone
HP.
went down. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
no joke.
Oh, yeah. And in
No
our
joke.
in our 5e game that John and I are in, we have had like incredible luck fighting bosses and fighting just like like mini bosses or just like creatures that you weren't exactly supposed to engage or whatever, and then rats rats have made us some of the most like pathetic like warriors. We're just like, how are rats dealing with us?
Yeah, my wizard has gone down to snakes and rats, and we have fought like 4 bosses.
yeah.
I feel like it has to do with the underestimating it. Like you are scared when it's a boss. When it's something big and threatening, you are like, I'm gonna play this super safe because I can't risk it. And then you're like, it's rats. I got this.
I kick it.
Oh yeah. I'm not casting my highest level spell on a rat. I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah, might as well just use this sling that I have a +1 to. Yeah.
Done. Exactly.
So
I will say, mechanics wise, for like 2nd edition, it's super easy to go down.
Yeah.
Like so
yeah.
easy to go down
yeah.
with the triple hits and stuff. Like no matter what, just like using every action, you can just get clocked. Like especially at these low levels, we actually recently had like a discussion after one of the episodes. It's like, why do we just go down every fight? Like
That's us.
it's just, and then we had a great one afterwards. But crazy how quickly you can get whacked in this game.
Lesson learned, honestly, because in Extinction Curse, it's our first experience in a adventure path versus Waffles' Homebrews, which I feel like we have gotten to like a familiar beat with Waffles' Homebrews in terms of like CR level, but not in like a number way, but in just like a feeling it out way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Extinction Curse, it's completely different, and it's taking all of us off guard, and we're like going into things in not the most ideal way. Like a squishy character ends up being up front because I'm a druid, so I went to go try to talk to someone in the forest, and boom, like I get hit and I'm super squishy, and now
that's it.
Tank dwarf is super far away, so it's gonna take him like 5 turns to get up close to us because of how slow he is. Like, so we have enough of those that we're like, oh shit, we can't do this, guys. Like, we have to be a team. Let's get this formula right.
Got another question in the chat. What's everyone's favorite AP or homebrew game that they've ever played, and why do you like it?
Ooh.
Oh, that's a good one. I want to hear Jake's answer because I feel like he is our resident like D&D lore master.
Okay, so my sister's 13, and so I was like, guess what you get to do? so I wrote up a whole like homebrew game for her and my wife. So what their whole story is that they found evidence of this ancient bell that was supposed to be like this like holy artifact, and they found a hidden writing in this bard's music, and they were like, hey, we think this might be some evidence, go look at it. So they went and they researched it, and they found out it was in this ancient city that was in it. It was supposed to be like this oasis deep in the desert. So they have to go out of this deep dwarven city in the mines, march all the way across the country to the desert, and then they get to this oasis. And when they get there, they find out they see snake men or yuanti, and then they see these creatures called the Charaka, which are like small like mandrill apes, but they're sentient. And they're they're very small monkey men. But they were like, oh, maybe we can talk to them. And turns out they're both evil cults that just want the area. And so they're both like, do we side with one of them? I'm like, you can do what you want to do. They're like,
great thinking.
Yeah, they were like, what do we do? And I'm like, well, they're both horribly evil.
So you pick one, right?
Yeah. So you pick one. So they ended up siding with the Charaka, only because when they walked in, one of the Charaka was going to be sacrificed by a snake man, and then they had some more of them came in and saved their friend, and so they were like, yeah, we're against that too.
We don't like sacrificing.
Yeah, we don't like sacrificing. Yeah. so I just love throwing that whole thing in homebrew games where it's like, yeah, there's no like definite good way to go through this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
I like that a lot.
I would say favorite AP, again, Pretty Pumpkin Spice Latte. Strahd is just really good. It's just very different, I think, from most other APs that I've seen. I love Transylvania anyway, so that's like a very cool, like I just got sucked into that. That's like a very,
Yeah.
very fun AP to listen to even. Like, I think it's such a fun little, like atmosphere to play
I think
in.
it lowers the
Um,
bar a lot to the atmosphere. Like, you
Yeah.
know, to newer DMs and things like that, like it helps you get into setting tones and atmosphere so much easier.
Totally. Yeah. It definitely has like some training wheels on it, which is nice.
Yeah.
I will say I actually hate this AP, but there was something they did in it which lent itself to a very cool character or a very cool scenario. But Elemental Evil is like, it's the Princes of the Apocalypse is what it is. I did that one. That was one of my very first APs I ran. And they're all set up the same. The reason it stinks so bad, in my opinion, I hope I'm not stepping on toes, is every temple is pretty much the same. They pretty much just like reskinned it to be fire cultists, water cultists. And you just kind of play through the whole thing over and over again. But in most of the temples, there's like the guy in charge and then the front man who wants to like overthrow the guy in charge.
Oh.
And in one of the sessions that we played, they met the like person who wanted to stab the leader in the back and pretty much bargained. I'm telling this because Jake reminded me of something like this. It's very similar, but they bargained with the party like, hey, if you guys help me overthrow this guy, I'll like make you second in command. And they're like, absolutely, sounds good. And then they went and told the leader, like, hey, man, these guys are going to stab you in the back. Just as they were telling him, the second in command walked in. She was a sea hag. She walked in with some other guards. And there was this very neat moment where the man in charge looked at them and then the sea hag looked at them and they had to choose who are you gonna take sides with? Like,
Nice.
and they ended up helping the guy in charge. Good thing too, because he freaking whomped them like the first round, like destroyed the sea hag. It was not a problem. But
Man.
those kind of situations, like Jake was saying, where it's like, well, pick a side, like that wasn't
Political
written in
tension.
the book, but they got to decide that, and that is my favorite. So great question.
It adds
whoever
such a
asked.
layer. It's not hack and slash anymore. You got to make decisions.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else
We-
with the favorite AP? Or
I-
board game?
You first.
We have not gone through enough of Age of Ashes for me to know whether it's going to be my favorite.
Mm.
But
It's so
Jake
good.
knows, even before 2E came out and Age of Ashes was even written, I had a huge thing for Hell Knights. So
dude.
Yeah.
Hell Knight,
Ooh.
I was going to turn one of my characters in our first campaign into a Hell Knight eventually. We'll see. But the writing in the module so far has been really good. Obviously, Jake knows more about it than me, but
But yeah,
Seems-
I've read all the way through book 2, and Amanda Hammond just kills it every single page. If she writes some sort of description, the characters that she puts in, she does so much, like she puts so much into stuff that like after I could read those things like a novel, like they're you could
That's
just read them.
how you know. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
And a lot of what the stuff we've been doing currently in Age of Ashes have been kind of dungeon runny. And I'd have a love-hate relationship with dungeon runs, but it just feels like there's more. You never feel like you're just in a dungeon until the end of the
Yeah.
dungeon.
Right.
You do other
Yeah.
stuff. There always feels like there's more going on.
Is it
Uh,
motivation or is it like as you're running the dungeon that you feel like your motivation is more than just clear out the dungeon, or is it that even though you're clearing out a dungeon, there's like plot that is going on?
There is plot. Also, I kind of gave my character a bunch of other reasons to be there. So
Okay.
it's in the AP, but again, I kind of spiced it up with the way I built my character. Though, since I can't say Age of Ashes is my favorite so far, I will say the first homebrew game I played with Jake, it's pretty tight, man. I'll tell you, that man can write.
That's awesome.
Silas.
Yeah, the only adventure path that I played all the way through is still probably my favorite. It was with some of the guys who are in the podcast now. We had started it back. This maybe almost 4 years ago now. It was a while ago, but anyway, we played Curse of the Crimson Throne, which which is a first edition adventure path for Pathfinder. It's full of and a lot of it was I know the way that Chance DM for that, and he does a really good job of bringing in a lot and like hyping up moments. But it was the whole adventure path was just like one epic moment followed by like another epic moment, and you go do this thing, and there's just this epic. It was just all of these like huge moments that everything built up to, and it was so cool. They did such a good job with it. I loved it.
That's
It was
awesome.
really, really fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would highly recommend it.
I actually should be taking notes, but I'll take notes when I re-listen because I haven't played through many APs at all, honestly. Like I mentioned earlier, like I think I started, I mean, time flies. I wanted to say a year ago, but I think it's been 2 years, or if not more, 3, I don't know, 2 to 3, which is still not very much of playing. And so it was like me and my best friend from high school were like, I want to play D&D. Let's figure out how to do this. And like we bought it all and tried to figure it out ourselves. And we grabbed some friends and we're like, all right, we're making something up. And then I started Curse of Strahd as a DM at the time. And just through like life and stuff like that, I ended up having to move, and we never like finished it. So half gone through that as a GM, never a player. And Extinction Curse is the first AP that I played through as a player. But I will say for homebrew, Waffles, I think, is an amazing, amazing GM, and he has some really, really cool ideas. But there is one homebrew campaign that the plane campaign, as we call it. I don't know if that's the official. He's running
That
it.
is.
It is okay. He's running it for the second time with me as a player. In person, which is currently kind of half on hold. But, you know, the second one is all the more... Oh, hey, Siphon's in the chat. He is one of the people I wrangled when I was a GM. Haha. So,
And-
yep.
Hold on.
Still hate him?
Just to clear it up a little bit, I'm running it for the second time. First time she's played it. Just
Yeah,
to
I
make
was
sure that's
like,
clear.
I've never heard of people playing
No,
the
no, no.
same
Yeah.
campaign.
It kind of
again.
ran on there. I just
Yeah,
wanted to make
sorry.
sure that got out there.
Separate sentence.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, so it's my first time playing it, but like I've heard stories of like the other players because we're all like in the same circles, and they tell me moments from it, and you know I get to that similar scene where I'm like, oh, this is the book they're talking about, and it's obviously like completely different when we play it, but honestly, like the flow of that campaign and the investment in it is like shoots off right from the start, and I love how invested everybody is in it and how it's been taking off. And I'm super excited because I have never gone through the different planes, and it's the plane campaign, spoiler. So I'm really excited to... I think that's so far been my favorite, although I love all of the homebrews that he does.
Yeah, as a player that has, I'd say player, I've GM'd 99% of my time. As a person who has
I know
been
the
in D&D and tabletop role-playing games since I was like 14, I got to play about 3 months, and then basically didn't get to play anymore for a little while, and then I took up GMing because I could never find any more games to play in, as so many do.
Yep.
I can say that Extinction Curse is the first AP I've ever run now. So after about 15 years, I'm running my first AP. And then the playing campaign would be my favorite homebrew. With Time Has Passed coming up quite quick. The playing campaign only because, like her, I have loved all of the planes, and it's a D&D 5e campaign, and it goes from the Feywild to the Shadow Plane to the Elementals to everything. It's so fun. The first time I ran it, my party TPK'd at level 11, so rip them.
Oh,
no.
Man.
I'm
You hate
not
to see
mad.
it.
That's why
You
I
hate
get to
to
play.
see it.
yeah.
I mean, you hate to see it, but you got to be thankful because we might not be podcasting if they didn't TPK that, honestly.
That's true. That is true. That's how it goes, you know?
I feel like it's super hard to TPK in 5e. Like that's
They
crazy that
managed.
they actually did.
Yeah, they, without spoiling too much, one of their lesser fighting NPCs got captured, and then one of them also had a tie to this evil guy's mansion. And besides making a great plan or attempting to sneak in, they decided to bust in through the front door.
That'll do
It's
it.
their own
Yeah.
fault.
Yeah.
You hate to see it.
Yeah.
Of a rather strong wizard's mansion. So
We have an additional question. Let me scroll up to find it because I liked
Yeah.
it. Waffles, do you
yeah.
remember what it was?
I do. What is the last random character you rolled up that you know you'll never play?
Oh yeah, that's a great one.
Waffles, come on. Forever GM. Kick it off.
Yep, I will start it off. His name was Nicholas. She knows him because we played
Nicholas
him
the
recently.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
I made
No,
that up.
he
He
was
hates
he was a without going too deep into detail and spoiling a lot. He was a half elf that ended up. I think we were what, like 5 sessions in, and we did it through a text-based game, and he had finally had his big moment where he overthrew some of the local the local lords and stuff, where basically a lot of the town was in slavery. And then he was a very charismatic person, so I had him get up disguised in this purple robe, and he basically started a cult of his own.
was
He was
so
like,
good.
yeah, this is the color of freedom, we're gonna break free, and he incited like a riot and a
It
cult
was
that
just the
followed
chaos
him.
inducer. It was amazing.
Yep, and then we never
It's
played
so
again.
funny.
The way
Yeah,
we
I
did it
say-
though was so tactful with the text based because it was sometimes we did sessions in voice, but it was like a lot of it was a West Marches style, so a lot of it was in text. We would like change your nickname on Discord to not be your character, so the other players in the game weren't sure if he was just playing an NPC for the DM or if it was actually his character. But it was
Yep.
so good
Nice,
because they were
nice.
just like, wait, and in character started trying to find this random other person and going to Nicholas and being like, have you seen this person? No, no idea. So good, so good. Love
I
it.
will say, for a
Guy that I
character,
will never play again. Oh, sorry.
a character to
ahead.
do that, instant legend.
Oh,
Instant
yeah,
legend.
Yep,
100%.
it was so good.
So how about you guys?
I feel like Silas, you're a big guy.
Yeah,
You make a lot of characters.
I do. I the first thing, anytime I like I'm playing on a new system, I'll find an Excel version of it or Google Sheets version of it that someone's put online, like for character sheets. I'll just have that in my like files, and then they'll just be like copies of that dozens of times of like this character for this. I love making characters. I make them all the time.
yeah.
One of my favorites was it was for Pathfinder First Edition. I made this. He's a Tengu, so like a little crow person, Tengu fighter that used this. Like I had to do a bunch of just weird stuff to make it work. It was all, which you can do in Pathfinder First Edition. You can be really complicated and just fit all the puzzle pieces together. Anyway, but he had this like tower shield that was way bigger than he was, and he also had a halberd, which was also just bigger than he was. And so he would just like hunker down behind his little wall, and he would just like poke people from like everywhere. And I come and it was like I am not like as big of a combat person in D&D. I was so excited to do combat with that character, and I never got to use it. It's gonna be so much fun.
Oh.
It was all centered around just the goofiest looking fighter I could possibly make.
So on brand for Silas.
It is. I
He's
love
like,
making.
let me just
wonky
find
characters.
weird rules.
Yeah.
To...
Yep.
John, Jake.
I have one.
Yeah,
I have
go for it.
one. If
Do
no one
it.
else does. The last guy that I rolled up for a one shot. I have a group that it was our first campaign that I ever ran. I was all online. Every once in a while, I'll throw in like a message to our old group text to be like, "Hey, anybody want to play a game? I wrote one, and you need to roll up characters, kind of thing."
Mhm.
And I rolled a. Ooh, is it? Goliath, a Goliath bard. Named Skeechy. I wrote it down. I don't remember how I wrote his name, how it was spelled, but he was like pretty much Rafiki. Honestly, like if you can,
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Rafiki, it's very, like an islander with a a little lute. He did have a lute, so that's pretty funny. Call back to earlier tonight. And he had a I think he had a mace. I forgot what a weapon he had, but it had a name. I remember the name of the weapon was Vludarchik. Yeah, his voice, it was just super fun to play a character who was Rafiki. And I don't even know if I could pull the voice out now that I am trying to like recall how I did it. But he would just be like, "Where's the gold?" And very like over the top, like, "Oh yeah, we'll help you out, no problem." But like always asking for a little bit more. So almost like a rogue trope, like mixed in with the bard, but super fun support character. I've never played a bard up until that point, but a giant islander Rafiki / he was like the size of the guy from Moana, Maui.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like just
Nice.
Why does
dude.
every TTRPG
You know.
Talks conversation roll back to Dwayne the Rock Johnson? This is a
That's
weird
true.
trend.
I
Continue.
Bring it up.
It's not a trend, it's nature.
Oh,
It happens.
we made a pact that
I'm
at
so-
some point he's gonna have to play in a campaign, a one shot of some kind
Always.
with one of us. So we're just gonna
That's true.
keep going.
Yep.
Perfect. Yeah,
I
that was
will
the last one I did.
Yeah, mine, and Jake will remember this one, because this was a very special one shot because it was one of our players, his bachelor party. We all just got
Oh, yeah.
together and started playing
Yep.
D&D. And only me and
Best
one other
bachelor party?
groomsman. Oh yeah, only me and one other groomsman had played D&D before, and this was a level 10 one shot.
Oh no!
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell the story after he. Yeah.
So this character, I took very great inspiration from Monster Hunter, and I made a gun tank. So he was a gun lance wielding half dragon. His name was Sloan Badmaw. It was just. It was the first time I played a character with an AC that high. His AC was around 34, I think. It was just absurd. It was
Yeah.
absurd.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, I really didn't do much damage though. That was like the give and take. It was just fun.
Yeah. So our Timmy, the guy who plays the cleric on the Dragon Punch Squad, when he was getting married, it's almost been like 2 years or something, Sean.
Yeah.
When he told us he was getting married, we were like, all right, what do you want to do for a bachelor party? I was like, we'll take you out anywhere. We'll do whatever you want. We will make sure you don't remember the night. All right. Well, and then he was like, I think I just want to play D&D for 12 hours. I was like, that's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. So I spent like a month writing up a whole campaign where he was playing a character that was getting married, and the wizard that was
so
planning the
cool.
fireworks was just disappeared. Turns out he teleported away into a volcano where fire giants were, and they took him hostage. And so I was like, all right, y'all are playing level 10 characters, and this is what happens. And they were like, we're fighting fire giants? I was like, they're gonna hurt.
Man, oh man.
It was the most fun, and I think that was the biggest party I ever ran and the longest I ever ran, and it was incredible. It was so much fun.
I
Way
think it
to
was like
throw
8
them into the
people.
fire. No pun intended.
One of them did get pulled into the lava.
Ah,
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I told him, I was like, look, I'm sorry, buddy. This is the first time I've ever rolled 20 D6.
You
I'm gonna
made
enjoy
that
it.
whole one shot just for that. Admit it.
I mean, I made a creature that literally pulls people into lava. I was hoping for it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
So when it comes to characters that I'll never play again, another gaming group that I met in my high school days. We were playing through Pathfinder Society as well. This is our first edition though, and I made a character that was he was a half-orc slayer. Slayer is the rogue fighter, sort of like rogue ranger, sort of like Gestalt class, and but his bluff was just way too high, so he would lie about literally everything, and he was played by Larry David. So I would do the Larry David voice in like every confrontation. And so the first encounter was great because we go up and there are these Ulfin Viking guys that took over this house and they're holding somebody hostage. And so we walk up and I was like, oh my God, there's fighting. No. And I run. but I bluffed just so I could get around to get the sneak attack in. And so the two other people I were with was like, did he just run? And so I even made like a custom character sheet for that guy, and he was so much fun to play because they were like, we can never rely on you except for 3 rounds later.
Coming back
I mean,
now.
Yeah. Oh man.
We did a for the when we were gearing up for to do the podcast. None of us had played second edition of Pathfinder yet. It had just come out, and so we did like a level 1 through 4 thing that they had come up with, and I loved all of the characters we came up with were throwaway characters, which was a shame because they're all really great.
Yeah.
But I played this little old man gnome. His name was Schmebulok, but he was actually just a swindler and a thief and a pickpocket.
Oh,
and he
amazing.
would buy. I had him buy. They went into the store right at the beginning, and there were there's a theme in the town. It was all like parsnips. That's all they had to grow were parsnips or something, and they had parsnip candy. And he bought some parsnip candies, and then he would go every person he met, he like to try and like win them over. He'd say, now I made these candies this morning. I'm gonna give one just for you because you're special. And he would just lie. I mean, he just lied all the time. That was the most fun role playing I think I've ever had.
This
It was
is
a little
all just
throwaway
making
character.
me want a one shot with everyone here to
Yes.
make these throwaway characters. Like, please.
We've thought about the idea of having guests on our Pathfinder Society games. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
Just throwing it
Yeah.
out.
We did the same. That'd be so fun. Even
so
just like
fun.
having someone come in and play a like character on the AP and like give them the kind of like restrictions, but they're
Yeah.
still like a character. It'd be so
Yeah.
cool.
Yes.
I love
That's
that.
what, man, I have been wanting to be like, all right, here's your character for time has passed. But like when it's your baby and you have to trust that person to play in that restriction, it's so hard to make the jump.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Very true. Homebrew, I
Mhm.
couldn't imagine doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's rough. But
I would say
maybe we'll
that
see.
Silas. Yeah, absolutely. I would say
Oh, yeah.
every episode Schmebulok would be like throwing people candy, and it just at the end we would let him do it, but it was just so like we're like, yeah, he didn't make the candy. He got them from the barkeep like 20 feet away.
He's lying. He's lying to
He's
you.
lying.
Or it would just be like, oh, okay. Or they would just be like, oh, it's just a silly old man.
Yeah.
But he's actually just
It's
stealing from
dementia.
them behind
It's
their
just he
backs.
thinks he
Exactly.
did.
Yeah. He played the
Wait.
dementia card.
When you
Oh my
had
God.
said the concept for that character, I remember way back when I was watching like the a Jackass on MTV, and Johnny Knoxville. It might not have been Jackass, but he had the thing where he would play the old man,
Oh, bad grandpa.
bad grandpa. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
But well, it might have been before the movie came out. But I remember
Yeah.
there's one episode where he goes into a 7-Eleven or a convenience store, and he just starts like shoving things into his shirt, and so he just has like all of this stuff like in his collared shirt. Yeah, like his guts, like a foot out from his abdomen, and so the storekeeper comes up and is like, "What are you doing? You're stealing." He's like, "No, it's all me. It's all me." And so they like
Just
rip
a
his
big
shirt
guy.
open. Yeah, it's my gut. I'm fat. I can't. I look, hey, this isn't nice. And so they rip his shirt open and they start taking out like bag chips and bananas and like all this stuff. And then they like get him out, and like as they're pushing him out the door, he's like still taking stuff off the rack.
Grabs like 2 handfuls and runs.
Yeah. Like and
Oh my
and at one point he was just like, "I'm old."
That
was-
actually is very fitting for Schmebulok. That was
Yeah.
his whole shtick, was just like, oh, don't harm a little old man.
I'm just a
Ways.
little old man. Just leave me alone, please.
And as they turn
Oh my
around, I
God.
pick their pocket. Like every
No,
time.
yeah.
Yep.
I'll be honest, I don't think I have one up to snuff like in my one shot characters, only because I don't know, like I can't compete. The only one we did was for the only boat thing that I have played, but it was like a one shot, like one session, not even like the full thing. It was like half tied to a different campaign. But we had to play like just any seafaring people. Waffles has the better one of the two that we made, but fucking love him.
I forgot about that character. So man.
I was like, really, we were starting to podcast. We were like super busy. I was like, I don't have fully the time to invest in like making a whole thing. So, Mr. Gibbs. I am playing Mr. Gibbs. This is what's happening. So I just played I think it was like a drunk monk, I think.
Oh, Drunken Monk. Wow.
Yeah, I don't remember if that's what
that
I
goes
think.
back.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, but I was just like, made everybody super mad because everybody thought I was joking. But I didn't have time to think of a different character name, so I just named myself Mr. Gibbs, and my token was Mr. Gibbs, and I was like, no, I'm just Mr. Gibbs.
I am just.
Hey, I respect that.
So
Who I
funny.
am.
Yeah, but
So funny.
he played a Kenku Waffles, but he decided to be a parrot. It was
Oh, nice.
so good.
That's
He-
awesome.
Cool.
we
That's super
rolled
fitting, yeah.
Oh,
shit
that's so good.
stats. He rolled the worst, and he went.
And I
Oh.
loved it. I was so
loved
happy.
it.
Oh yeah.
My total for the roll was like 61, and I was so happy.
Beautiful.
Man. I ran around.
61.
My Kinku was like the cook on the ship. His name was Clicker, so he just walked around at the beginning. He was like,
We had a little too much fun on mic because we just kept going.
and his weapon of choice, I already had it pre-planned. If we got into a fight, but he grabs the pizza pan, like the pizza flipper, so like the pizza paddle.
Yeah.
Oh,
He
yeah, the
just
paddle,
walks
yeah,
around
yeah.
and whacks people with it. And I rolled so many nat 20s too. Like he was such a shit
Me
character.
either.
But
Yeah.
man, oh man.
Incredible.
I was predicting you were gonna say soup ladle.
Like the cast iron pan or
Is
something.
it Dark
yeah.
Souls 2, John?
Because he had such low intelligence, though, he gave himself the handicap with the Kenku phrases, and I think what was it, like a 6 or something?
Yeah. I could have 6 phrases at a time, and if I learned a new one, I had to forget one of the old ones.
So he just said the same 6
Amazing.
over and over again. So,
Oh, so
It
good.
was so fun.
yeah, he beat that, but you know.
Then would it get to a point where you have so many good phrases, it's like a Pokemon team? You
Yes.
can't-
Yes.
Which
Gotta
one
get
is
another
it?
one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's time to get rid of F off, man.
Go fuck yourself.
That's right.
Yeah. So I got to make sure we get this question in. Where did you guys, where was the idea? Where did it all come from that you started podcasting?
That's true. It's a good one.
I have a very short answer because it was all that guy, not me.
Yeah, it's on me. Yeah. I'm the ideas guy, and then I usually text my brother-in-law Kelly and be like, "Is this a good idea?" And he'll be like, "Yeah," and he'll go, "No." So
Perfect.
yeah. So we had we have been playing since I've been married. Okay, so probably about like 8 or 9 years or so we've been playing. And we had tried to we did one podcast for a little while, and it was very low quality. I put as much work into it as I could, but we literally had like a mic in the middle of the table, and I was just like, you know what, with second edition coming out, the brand new AP, we just got all this new equipment. I was like, let's just start fresh. Let's start fresh. Let's make up new characters. You better give me a 4-page backstory for each of them. I'm not taking any less. And then I got my wife is an amazing artist, and so I was like, hey, I want you to design a logo. I don't know what it'll be yet. We got a few ideas, but I was like, I want you to design it, and then I'll explain the name. So we have like a Google Drive where we just like throw up our ideas and everything like that, and so we literally had like 50 different names that we were like going back and forth on. I told them all to vote on which ones they wanted, and we pulled out of a hat, and we had all these different names up, and a lot of them were good. And then the day we sat down to record, Timmy and Kelly were just like, hey, so we were talking about names and we think we got one. And I was like, all right, well, let's have a big discussion. I want to have like a debate. Maybe we get a little angry at each other about it. And then Timmy and I was like, so talk about it there. And then Timmy was like, what about the Dragon Punch Squad podcast? And everyone agreed at once.
Yeah, kind of an easy one.
Yeah,
Well,
we were
there
like,
goes the
oh,
debate.
yeah. I was like, oh, I'll just throw these 50 names down because that one's good. All right.
And
There was
just
like-
delete that list.
Yeah.
Out of all the 50, I think there were 2 names I liked, and then Tim just dropped that. I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We, I mean, Silas can speak. He's brought it up a few times. There's definitely a show that Silas, Chance, Ronnie, and Jackson had before. Were you guys still in college? Right?
Yes, we were. We had been doing a campaign that was not a podcast. And then Chance, if I'm remembering right, Chance wanted stuff. Chance was a PR major and he needed stuff to like build his portfolio. He's like, we play D&D. And he's like, we could just record it. I wanted to get a mic anyway. And so we got,
it's homework.
We did it in my parents' basement every week. And we just sat around a table down there and recorded. We probably did it was like 12 episodes. It was the first chapter of Skulls and Shackles. And that was called the honor roll because we were also in school.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
I like that.
Every episode was named whatever they were facing. It was like marine biology when they were like catching fish.
Oh,
and
that's
like
so
everyone was like a
cute.
subject.
Yeah.
Some of them were like, I don't even know what that word is. Like it was some super. They did a good job. But Chance would call me after they would release. I think he called like 3 or 4 people. It was pretty much his routine, just to make. So, what'd you think? Hey, did you listen yet? And just like get that feedback. I'm sure everybody has their couple folks they talk to. But like he started talking about starting fresh and doing something different after they kind of wrapped their whole thing. And I don't want to say that I totally begged to be part of it. Did very much did. I just thought it was great. Like I loved the way that he DM'd, and I loved even the quality like slowly got better. If you've done multiple different shows, you slowly like add on like we have music. Now we have sound effects, whatever. So they had already kind of built like they knew how to do it now. And that's when, we all kind of sat down, eventually played that one. We played Plague Stone. I know a lot of people started out with Plague Stone, but it was very cool. I felt like I was sitting around the table with like King Arthur's men, like sitting down for the first night. I was like, I get to play on this show. The name came from the alignment chart.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, we're not chaotic good, lawful good. We're basically good people.
Yeah.
Really gives us a lot of gray area to do some pretty shoddy stuff.
I think that's amazing. I like that.
Zach, you might not realize this, but on the other side, so we would release an episode, you would listen to it, Chance would call you, and it should be like, I talked to Zach, and Zach said this, and I thought that was a super cool idea. And so I hadn't met Zach in person, but I knew a lot about you and I had a lot of respect for you. And we had the conversation at one point, Chance, it might have been, he might've presented this his idea, I'm not sure. But she was like, what if we like added another person? And my first thought, I'm sure maybe other people's first thought were like, I don't know. He's like, Zach. And all of us were like, nope, yep, Zach's in.
Oh my gosh, that's so hard.
It was the easiest yes. I was so excited because of all of the Chance would call you every time. Be like, Zach had this idea. And I thought that was awesome. And then it was like, oh, Zach's going to come on. And Zach has all these amazing ideas. Zach seems cool. We were all really excited about having you in.
I'm a fake character. I'm just a 5th ghost member, but that's pretty cool. I didn't know that. A little trivia for everyone.
Yeah.
Zach, I don't know what your Twitter tagline like at is, but you should just change it like, oh, Zach's cool.
Zach's a cool guy.
Oh, that's cool.
Zach's cool.
That's compared to our podcast. We never had any of those questions because we have been in the same group for so many years. We're pretty much all related to each other.
Yeah. Mark, the guy that plays Oakwood on our podcast, is the only one not related to the rest of us.
I feel like that guy.
Yeah, I heard you mention earlier that you were all like brothers of some kind. So I was like, oh, we're like there's like a group there. That's awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
4 brothers-in-law and a guy we consider a brother anyway.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah, we all live in the same town, went to the same high school, same college, and then Zach is our included person.
So true. I'm from Portland, Oregon. I went to college
from
at the same
Arkansas,
school. Yeah. Like just the black sheep, but happy to be here regardless. So What about you guys? How did you? I mean, you kind of
Yeah.
have sprinkled that in there. Have you shared that already on episode 1? How you
Kinda,
guys
yeah.
got
I mean,
started as a show?
we're happy to sprinkle it in again. Waffles.
Yeah, so basically I'm gonna do the quick version and then I'll shoot it over to her to how the group came together as a whole. But as a podcast, I had always wanted to stream basically my whole life. I grew up with video games. Like my dad got me a Super Nintendo when I was 5, like to play Mario with him. And so like I just grew up with video games. They've been my escape. And I had always wanted to stream, but while I was in the military, like there's no real option to stream there and make a real pass at it. Finally got settled down after the military. She moves here. I'll let her explain that side of the story. But she's like, I mentioned it one day and she's like, oh yeah, let's do it. So we get into streaming. The gaming's like, it's fun, but it's not really going like we want it to. And I throw it out. I was like, well, we play Pathfinder like 2 times a week. Why don't we stream that? And so we're sitting here, we're streaming Pathfinder. We're having a lot of fun with it, getting through the technical difficulties. And I'm on Reddit one day just posting like something that happened during the session. And somebody replies with, well, I can't catch live streams. Do you guys podcast? I'll listen. And then it was like right then, it was like, okay, like
That's happening now.
We're podcasting now
yep.
too.
I was like, man, we got to make a podcast now.
Yeah. You just need that one person that believes in you, and you'll
Yes.
just go to all lengths
That's all it was.
necessary to make it work.
Yeah, it was something like he was like, I caught like 15 minutes of it, but I can't. There's no way I can make all of them. Are you guys on YouTube? Do you podcast? And it was over since then. But as
Yeah,
far
we
as the
do
group,
now.
I'll let her
Exactly.
explain.
Quick.
Quickly from my
Make a
side
YouTube.
of things, though, my friend group back home, I have a really good friend from high school, known each other for over 10 years, and we would like just do everything together back in my hometown. And we would always joke about like, we're hilarious and we really need to do like YouTube videos or something because we're just nonsensical talk because we just always hype each other up. But and for her, it was very like joking, like it was just, yeah, we're hilarious, but come on, because we're just constantly snarky commentary about everything, typical. And but for me, I was always like, but I think that if we actually were to do something, we could do it. Like I just needed that that like second step of like, well, it's always been there in the back of my mind. And then I met Waffles through D&D, actually, through Carrick's the server that we were talking about, the West Marches. Right when I was moving across the world, and I still moved across the world. I moved to Israel after we started talking, and I lived there for about half a year with my family because my family's from there, and he convinced me to come back. And so I was East Coast, and now I'm somehow in Minnesota, but it's been super awesome. And then when I came here, I was getting settled, and he was like mentioning that. I was like, no, but like I'm tired of everybody having these thoughts of like, oh yeah, I could do something like this and not actually do it. Let's just try it. Let's just do it. And so we did. And then that was fun from there. I was always known as Revica, by the way. He's just been known forever as Waffles, and I, as previously mentioned, love real grade A dark amber maple syrup. So I was like, all right, we're Waffles
I'm
maple
gonna have to
syrup.
get you some.
Yep. So
It's coming.
she's been into the graphic design and all that stuff. So she branded us as Waffles Maple Syrup. The WMS podcast is just kind of under that brand. We'll eventually do all kinds of other stuff. As far as the whole group, Carrick and Varso were 2 of my players in the playing campaign, and then everyone else that has been part of the group is we all met in that West Marches game she's talking about, and we just picked players, and now we're kind of a main friend group. I would say we've been friends for about 2 years online, and we kind of decided to take up the mantle of producing a podcast, producing a stream like remotely, because no one else really does that. It has so many problems with it, and it's so hard to do. But we're taking up that mantle, and I like to think we're giving some people hope of like, well, if all of your friends are in Florida, New York, California, like try it. Like,
Alabama.
Yeah.
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 No, and it was a huge learning curve, which is always a slight concern in the back of my mind. Like you listen to like we said, we were streaming, or we were playing Pathfinder 2E and then decided to start streaming it. So technically we started streaming on session 6. But
Yeah.
even, and we we have like a intro jump to get everyone up to speed and everything. But like if you look back to the audio quality, oh my god, of like us still just like not knowing what we're doing, we're streaming and we're putting into podcast form, oh my god, it makes me cringe. He's the one that mostly audio edits, so he gets to listen to it more than I do. But I always worry, I'm like, we're so much better now, like this is like a brand new mic, I swear. Like let's give us a second chance.
yeah, we're worried about those people coming in on the first episode and being listening for 5 seconds and be like,
Nope.
nah, no thanks.
Oh,
Yeah,
With
but
the
it
first
gets
version
better.
of our podcast, the honor roll, the second episode, we had, I think this is what happened. There were headphones plugged into the laptop, and it took the audio from the headphones instead of the microphone, and it just sounds like a garbled like
Oh,
tin can
man.
Oh
noise.
man.
And it was our
Man.
second episode. Everyone who we told, like, yeah, you should listen to the podcast. Okay, the second
Yep.
episode is really bad. Just like
It's
power
always that
through it.
disclaimer.
All better from there.
Yeah.
Like, just kind of just power through the second episode and it all gets better. I promise. We
I
just
was-
have to, every time we said the podcast to a new person, we're like, just
Yeah.
get past the second, get past the
Yeah.
second one.
We were still with OBS, and like on my computer, I like would have the last thing select was I unmuted us, and then like if I hit spacebar, I would just mute us for like 10 minutes of conversation. There would be no audio. Like it was
Oh,
so
no.
bad.
Oh man.
Oh
I
That's
figured
a
it out over
nightmare.
time.
no.
We figured it out
no.
eventually, and
Yep.
this is all coming from like, again, we had never streamed before, never worked
Never.
super technical. I had never touched an audio editing software, and now that's all like self-taught crap. Man, oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
man.
All I do is I pull in
Perf.
I have a bachelor's of science in graphic design. Don't ask why it's science. But I
Cool.
study graphic design.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, at least that I know is relatively professional. The rest we just gotta hope for the best. But this,
I'm actually gonna piggyback off this. So prior to this, I was in the military as a nuclear engineer. What did all you guys do before you started podcasting, or
Holy.
still do, I should say?
I mean, we're not going to top nuclear engineer.
Yeah, absolutely. No way.
Can we just skip
I
this?
No, we don't want to top. I actually want to know about you guys.
Well, I currently work at a buddy's signage shop. We do a lot
cool.
of lettering and things like that. But before that, for about the past 7-8 years, I worked at the plant health industry. I was a plant health care specialist for Bartlett Tree Experts for a number of years. My buddy at the sign shop just offered me more money. So if you have any problems with your shrubs, I can probably help you.
That's so funny.
I mean,
Nice.
as a nuclear engineer, I think that sounds cool as heck. So
But spraying hundreds of gallons of toxic chemicals gets old.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you do now, Waffles, though?
so now I'm a refinisher. Basically, we go in and spray
Toxic.
porcelain and polyaspartic and epoxy coats on like counters or floors or bathtubs, and
yep.
they're all toxic.
Yeah.
Super toxic.
yeah, yeah.
Very toxic.
Living life on
Everyone
the
have
edge.
a toxic themed job now.
I don't.
Oh.
I do not.
Fun fact, even with my huge, like, good amount of experience in the forestry industry and nursery, plant healthcare, never played a druid.
We
How
You're not
sweetly
allowed
So
to now.
funny.
Yeah.
we tell them all the time, like John, you would literally top me on tree knowledge. I just like you would ask me, and I'd be like, I don't know, dude. A
That's
pine.
your thing.
This tree
Oh,
should
Jake.
have a brain.
It's got
because
the
of
pointy
this.
leaves.
These are birch trees, Jake. They shouldn't be leaving right now. This is bullshit. I'm not playing.
Broken world. Unplayable.
GG, next.
Version. Yeah.
What about you, Jake?
So I am. So I'm a project coordinator for a fiber engineering firm in the Washington, Baltimore area. So my job is pretty much
Yay.
calling to see if people will let us in to bring them amazing fiber optic internet. Most of the time, they have no idea what I'm calling about.
Sure.
Yeah, I have a pretty it's a pretty just like finance Excel heavy job. But one of the advantages, at least and for me, is that I get to work from home right now. Um,
Yeah.
and so while I'm like waiting for people to call me back, or I've kind of like done my work for the day, I'm like, cool, time to edit the podcast,
Yeah.
on my lunch break. So it's a pretty numbers heavy job, but the people that I work with are really nice. And one of the guys I actually work with is on the Laughfinder podcast, if you've heard of them. And he's a professional comedian too. So
Whoa.
there was one time that he was like, hey, do you want to be a guest on the podcast? I was like, yeah, of course I do.
That's
yeah.
huge.
So-
That's
That's
awesome.
amazing.
So yeah, while the job itself is pretty lackluster and pretty boring, my wife hates it when I'm like talking to my project manager about stuff. The people that I work with are incredible. They're all a bunch of big anime nerds and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Always
awesome.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Zach?
Yeah, it's super funny. My character like lends itself to my job. Like that's why I can do like I enjoy playing my character. I also cool Baltimore, DC. I was just there. I used to live there. I lived there for like 3
Hey.
years. I was in Fairfax,
My sister and brother used to live
Virginia.
there.
Woohoo!
Woo!
DC. But I
That's so
work
cool.
in for like a home health agency. I'm a pretty much like sales rep guy. They use the phrase sales. I don't like that very much, but it's like business development. So I'm out. I meet with like case managers and hospital work doctors sometimes, schools, pretty much anywhere where like kiddos with pretty hefty diagnoses with trachs, ventilators that are still going to school. We hire nurses to make sure that they can still go to school, and the nurse can take care of them while they're at school. So I deal
Wow.
with insurance companies. It's kind of a cool thing. Like on paper, it's pretty boring. Like the kind of work I do most of the time is pretty paperwork heavy. But
Right.
when I get to go like visit patients, that's really neat. That's a pretty cool thing. But I do definitely like they run us through the same like sales classes that a lot of people go through when they sell washing machines. And so it's kind of like
It's not
my
the
character.
fit-
Yeah, like my character in our current campaign is like an ex-banker. So like he's like very like, oh, let me talk to you about I'll walk you through if you want to know what a real good deal looks like. So I'm doing like everything that you're trained not to say, but
Yeah.
people still like associate that with sales. So it's pretty funny to
you
do
can
that.
you can live
but-
vicariously through it. Like all things I can't say.
Trashy, exactly, like trashy ways of selling things. And, yeah. But
Amazing.
so yeah, I've been doing that since I graduated school. I like ran an office in DC, and then I moved up here to Western New York now, which is where we've kind of settled as a family and to get back to family. And I kind of took a step down, but the cost of living here is also, Jake, so
Yeah.
sorry about that cost of living, yo. But it's a lot.
I feel that,
lower.
by the way, going from Israel, Tel Aviv specifically, which is absurd, and from the East Coast before that to here is amazing. But let's not talk
yeah.
rent. Let's go.
Yeah, it is just
Minnesota is like,
it's
I
fantastic.
come from Alabama and it's similar, so that's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. But so
As we continue
yeah,
to talk about rent,
Yeah.
that's where I'm at.
Yeah, that's
Is
really
me?
awesome.
I did information systems. My degree was like information systems and data analytics, and I got done with that. And I was like, these classes were fun, but all of these jobs suck. So I'm going to do something else, basically. And I was working at a coffee shop in the same town that I went to college at the time. So I'm now the director of training there. I teach all the new people how to make coffee. Super fun job. I am definitely on the coffee, I guess, career track. It's what I want to do with the rest of my life. I love to work in importing. That's kind of like my goal.
Ooh.
But right now, I'm still on the cafe side.
Are you a
really
coffee
loving it.
connoisseur?
I guess.
I have words.
Ooh,
No,
ooh.
in a good way, That was the wrong way.
Okay.
Coffee or tea, don't tempt her. Or
Yeah.
syrup, you know.
Coffee, tea, syrup.
Yeah.
Like, long story
Syrup and
short, I'm
coffee.
just a foodie.
Oh, I'm with you. When you get like super, if you ever get in really into one kind of like food or
Mhm.
drink or something, it just ends up spilling over into all the other ones. Started with coffee, really got into like cooking and stuff like that. Now I got like this super, I don't know why I bought it. I was like, I just want a fancy tea. And I bought an expensive tea. It was an oolong. It's awesome.
I love oolongs.
Uh,
Wait, no, we can't.
Okay,
Don't
yeah,
get me
yeah,
into
yeah.
this.
Yeah.
We'll have a
Do
food
oolong
stream.
power hour.
We'll do an
It was at that
after-hours show of just tea talk.
Absolutely.
It
Oh
was at
my
that
God.
moment the stream could see the pain on Waffle's face.
I walk into a tea store with her and I'm just like, give me something. Thanks.
And I'm like, well, what are you looking for? Floral? You looking for more like?
Oh, that's
He's like,
Silas with
I don't
coffee.
know.
I went to this store with my parents the other day, and they had like there was this. I was showing them this store that's in town. I still live in the same town that they live in. And
What store?
And it was a natural food store. They had like this whole thing of teas, and my mom was like Silas, I need to get into tea lately. Like, do you want to like help me get some teas? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, well, just get what you would want. I was like, no, Mom. There's ones that are
doesn't work
floral.
that
This
way.
one's a green tea. This is a black tea. Smell it. Do you like it? And like all this stuff. And I went home with them, and they had got me this like cast iron teapot. And they said, these teas are yours. We had them. It was a super sweet moment. But like I did the same thing with my mom, where she was like, just get whatever you want. I was like, no, you tell me what you want. You're gonna smell all of them.
We both
They
wanna,
remind you of, and
we both want to go to
Yeah.
Japan at some point when we're
Yeah.
able to. But like on that list is the tea ceremonies, and I just
Mm.
want to like,
Oh yeah.
Oh, that would be so cool.
yeah.
I feel like
Um,
we can't dog on people too much because, if anybody comes to our silly hobby, it's like, why do you have so many figurines? It's like, those are miniatures
Excuse
and you
me.
need to lay off. Like,
This one is a half orc,
spent-
and
I
he has a
spent
name. And
hundreds of dollars on miniatures, but you need
I
to
spent
lay off.
5 hours painting him.
I'm getting
Someone-
into the painting of miniatures as he's getting into dice, so we're
Oh yeah.
bye money.
Amazing. Yeah.
But I should say, while I did say that I studied graphic design, that is nowhere near what I do right now.
Mhm.
Similarly to you, Silas, when I got out of that graphic design and I was like, okay, well, I had an internship in college and I kind of transitioned into like a marketing role, and I was like, apologies to any marketing people that are watching this, but I was like, marketing sucks. I can't do this.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Not
not.
good, man.
Same thing I
Uh,
did. IT is the worst. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. It's a type of person. Just like sales is a type of person in a different way, and I was a foodie even then, though I was working for in the food service industry, through a large Sodexo, if anybody knows a large food corporation. But catty corner to the kitchen. The pros of that was that make really good friends with the chef, have amazing food always, but the
Absolutely.
marketing job itself was not for me. So I transitioned into, by complete chance, that same friend from high school got me a job at a payroll company, ADP, which sure pays a lot of people.
ADP.
Yeah, I used
They,
to.
yeah,
there.
yeah, I know them. I know them.
But I
Cool.
am tech support for payroll company. I work for Ceridian now, different payroll company, but basically I am IT. I learn the.
So you do my major that I didn't do.
Yeah, yeah.
Graphic design.
Basically. But I like it because the way I managed to find my way into it was like working with clients and fixing people's problems. So I get to just like be the people person that I am, but
Yeah,
like with a
yeah.
buffer because I know more than you, so you could just listen to me.
Well, hopefully they do.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully.
If they
Yeah.
don't,
Yes.
though, like it's great. The new place that I work for is absolutely amazing. It doesn't have any of the bullshit of the last place, and I get to work from home
Awesome.
right now. And even before this, I was working home 3 times a week. Like it's a good life.
Yeah, before I worked at Bartlett Tree Experts, I was a salesman and a growing consultant at a local nursery. And I was technically a salesman there, but people never because they were always asking me what the plants they needed to put where. So they never really was like, my fiance who was in sales, it's like give you all his horror stories about bad
Yeah.
customers. I was like, they always liked me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have
It's not a
to
hard
find-
sale. They're coming
Yeah.
to see plants.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I'm going
yeah.
to sell you the plants.
They're not
Yeah.
gonna walk away
Find
without
the
buying
way
a plant.
you-
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There are pros and cons to every job. You just gotta find the way to get into it. I've figured that works for you. It's not about like
Mhm.
going to study like this one thing and knowing it. It's like how you find your way into it that always, to me, is the kicker. But yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally.
All right, guys.
I got one last question.
We got one last question. All right.
All right.
All right, let's end on a positive note. What do you guys consider to be your like biggest success since podcasting? And it can be anything. You say we got one viewer, like we got one person that just loves us. What do you consider, like, what made you say, all right, we're a podcast now?
I like.
Me and Jake probably the same one.
Maybe. Do you want me to say mine and then you say yours?
Sure, see if it's different.
So we had a guy. I think it was maybe February of this year. These guys called Nerds on Earth actually wrote an article about us.
Wow.
Whoa.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was like super stoked about it. And you know, they just talked about how, like, you know, they listened to like the first 10 episodes of us and they really liked us. I really liked it because they said they liked my voices. So, you know,
Eh.
Awesome.
little
That's
flattery
huge.
there.
That's all you want to hear as a DM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
They
yeah,
like my
yeah.
silly voices.
I
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
my voices.
but yeah, they pretty much said that, you know, like the you know, the Dragon Punch Squad isn't trying hard. They're just 5 friends that just love playing games together, and they were just very like honest about stuff. And the one downside that they said was they were like, the only thing we didn't like was that there wasn't any information on the players themselves. All of it was
Right.
just, you know, like they were like, we tried to find like player profiles or anything about it, and it's like, yeah, we just like haven't done that.
Yeah.
And so that, you know, like the week after, I was like, hey, do you guys have your player profiles ready? It's like,
Get that up.
yeah. So I mean, you know, seeing that and just seeing someone else not affiliated with us at all write about us in such like a good light was just awesome. I
That's really
I
cool.
sent it to my mom. I like we
Oh,
like
yeah.
shared it all over the place. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was great.
That's awesome.
Mine could have been that one, but I would also say this. At some point, we were just playing the game. We had several episodes released. And all of a sudden, on our Twitter feed, just these random character arts popped up. And this
Oh,
just
man.
random artist. And I was telling Mary, my fiance, I was like, it's just a weird feeling. A
Yeah.
character you came up in your head, it's your creation. Somebody else cared about it enough to take time to draw it. And
Yeah.
that's just, it's hard to beat that feeling.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
That's super cool. We've only had a few. I think the very first one we got was a drawing of my guy, and it was somebody from school. It was Dylan Wilhelm. He's just like our biggest junkie. He just listens to everything.
It's our I'm pretty sure he's our biggest fan for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Super cool guy.
But
I like him.
Shout
yeah,
out.
he drew a picture of my character. I don't think I'd said that he has a ponytail, but he drew him with a ponytail. It was totally fine. I was like, he's got a ponytail. Now. That's awesome.
This is happening.
But you described it perfectly, John. Like that feeling of like, I made this up and somebody drew it, which is very cool. And whether it was a doodle in class or on a napkin or whatever, like somebody took the time
Yeah.
and they're enjoying what we're pumping out so much. I think it's a tie between two things. One is like a social media success, and the other is actual like our content. And we have this lady who joined our Discord. Her name's Howdy. I do not know who she is. But she said that because of our show, her and her husband listen every Monday, and they found some friends and they are learning how to play the game to play their own because of it. And I think that's what everybody is trying to do. You know, I think if you have a show, somebody in the group's goal is going to be, I just want to show everybody this game and I want to tell other people to play it. And that happened, you know, and I made sure to share that because I think a lot of the guys in our group, that was theirs. And I was like, you've hit your goal, you know, like if it was just one person, this is the one. And so that's very cool. Even if it was just one person, that's amazing.
Yeah.
We give away stuff and I started making dice, and we had a dice giveaway, and we had 1,000 people share it and like
Oh,
it
wow.
and
That's
sign up. And our followers went from, if people want free stuff. That's not to say that
Right.
our
Oh,
product
yeah,
changed
yeah.
at all. They just want free stuff. So,
Right.
but we went from like 500 followers or 600 followers to like 1,300 followers in a couple days.
Yeah.
And that
You
was
hear that,
like,
Waffles? When you start making
I was
dice,
just
you ready?
like,
Yeah.
feeling it. And yeah, and it was these dice that did it. And
Yeah.
Nice.
we immediately got on, and I started talking with our DM. Was like, okay, we got to hit it hard. We got to do this. We got to stream. We got to, and we
Mhm.
just started adding more things to do while we had this kind of new influx of people. So that was I would say, like, when that hit, that was like every time you refresh Twitter, there's like 5 more people, 5 more people, 5 more
Right.
people. And that is
Congratulations.
wild.
Yeah, congratulations on that success. I remember seeing that giveaway and being like, "Oh, those dice are nice," and I like retweeted and I was like, "We don't want to join, don't need nice, but some other people, you guys join, go get it."
Get out there. I remember reading
Next thing
that.
I
was
know, like
"That's
2
sweet
days
of
later,
them."
there's like 1,000 people on it.
It was because of that retweet. It was because you
Amazing.
guys tweeted it out.
We'll take it.
doubt
Well,
it.
that was entirely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What about you,
I
Silas?
I was I was working on bar that day. I was working bar shift at the coffee shop I work at. And we had a few episodes out. And this guy came up. We're right near the campus of the college that I attended to, so I know a lot of people who come in from that. And this guy, we're near friend, like we're like acquaintances, kind of. We didn't really run in the same circles, but we knew who each other was. But he's like this, like country dude. He's like he's from Louisiana, cowboy boots kind of guy, and like is like so not a nerd in any way at all. He came up and he was like, "Hey, I listened to your podcast."
Yo.
That's
That guy? What? It blew my mind because I would have never guessed it in a million years.
That is so
and it was
exciting.
like the basically him, who I don't think he had ever played, as far as I know, never really played D&D. Like that wasn't his thing. He had just found out about it and was like, "Oh, I know those guys. I'll give it a listen."
Mhm.
And then just liked it, and he really liked it. He'd come up like when I was working or like other things like that. To some of us, he'd be like, "Oh, I listened to this episode. It was cool like that." And seeing someone who was not a D&D player and that wasn't something that they cared about, but still listened to it anyway, was so cool. It was so like that interaction of listen to your podcast. You guys are really funny. It was amazing. It was
Wow.
so cool.
Yeah.
That is
Not believe it.
amazing, man.
Yeah.
It's complicated for me to answer. Like, I do art. I do the art for our group, so some of the players make me draw their character art, and we did that for when we started the Extinction Curse campaign. I drew everyone's profile up. But I haven't seen any fan art yet, so that's a milestone that I
Yeah.
haven't hit, but would be absolutely mind-blowing for me. I can't wait to get to that phase. It's weird, like when it was relatively early on when we started doing this, that we still we talked about the technical difficulties. We talked about kind of getting to a point where we felt like we were producing something that we were really proud of, and it was around that time where actually like Paizo followed us on Twitter and they hosted us a couple times.
Yeah.
And we were
Yeah, I know
like,
that.
Dope.
man,
So cool.
like
We're
this
kings."
is happening. Like,
Yeah.
what's happening here? So that was really cool. That was the start of it, at least for me, of like, no, we are making a serious go of this. We can totally make something happen here. But since then, the milestones that we've been like, literally the other day, you talked about social media, like, I wasn't looking at it for a while because Waffles honestly is the one that's mostly on Twitter. I started the Instagram, and like I didn't even when did we pass 200? Wait, we're at 250. What's going on? I blinked and
Yeah.
it happened, and it's going up, and
Mhm.
it's really awesome.
Yeah, I can say she'll probably attest to it. Ever since the beginning, I've been if we have one person listen to us, like it's worth it. Let's just keep
Yeah.
doing it. Why not?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then so ever since the beginning, even with like all the problems, like she said, I was the one that was like, just keep pushing it out. It'll get better. Like
Yeah.
no joke, we'll get better.
Hmm.
Uh,
I have a
and in the
perfectionist
Navy,
complex.
and in the Navy, I learned a lot of trend analysis, like for gauges and stuff. So I enjoy the analytical side, the trend analysis side. And for the past, we've been in it 3 months now. That's how young we are. Everything, like we've only done this for 3 months, and watching our analytics just very slowly go up, like organically, like no big spikes. No, it's just very slowly going up. I look up at 3 months and we're over 1,500 downloads. Like that's the kind of stuff that makes me feel like we made it. They might all be lurkers. Unfortunately, we might never get, like, if we never get character art. Just watching that, I'm like, all right, yes,
It gets me
like we
hyped.
made
Like he reminds me every once in a while, and he's just like, "Look at these numbers," and we'll sit down, we'll just like go through Chartable and everything like that. We're like, "Yeah,
Yep.
this is
Yeah, we
I log
used
into
to
our
tell me I was,
Podbean account just to look at all the numbers, and it's like, how many downloads did we get yesterday? Whoa, what?
yeah."
Yeah.
He's really
Yeah,
really good
yeah,
at the trend
yeah.
analysis part of it, where it's like,
Mhm.
you know, and why we try to kind of run those Twitter polls, because there's a lot of times where we don't have benchmarks of like
Yes.
what our intro podcasts to, like, okay, how many downloads did you have when you were 3 months old, a year old, you know, all that stuff, because we want to help everybody out in that sense of like that information needs to be out there so that we can get an idea of what is working and what's not working. So it's been really awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. I can't believe it's already been what, 2+ how long? A while?
Been a hot minute.
Oh wow,
2+ for sure.
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you guys so much. This was another really awesome episode. I think it was really good conversation. So John, Jake, Zach, Silas, thank you for joining us tonight.
Our pleasure.
Yeah, no, this was amazing.
Yeah, this
Great,
was a
yeah.
treat.
Yeah, thanks for having us. This was awesome. This was
Thank
so
you.
cool.
When I received the message at like 12 that they were, I was
So,
like,
yeah, thank you for getting in there right at the last second.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of
Yeah.
fun. I'm glad this happened.
We are as well. We talked a little bit, we joked around a little bit about doing things with each other, different one shots or whatever. Sorry. Thank you.
To call you
Cut
out.
that out of the
Comment.
podcast.
Slide into
Marks
those
it for a clip.
DMs.
Oh my god! All right.
See, the
you
difference
guys.
is the difference is whenever somebody on our podcast says something stupid, I leave it in.
Yeah.
Luckily, the podcast
No grace.
can't see how red I'm turning.
Jake's got no mercy.
Yeah. But no, on that note, you know, one of the hugest things that we wanted to bring together with TTRPG Talks is that intermingling of the communities. We see each other on Twitter all the time. I see you guys on the feed, and I'm like, hey, it's you. Not only do we want to put faces to some of those tweets and we wanted to get that interaction going, and we want to keep it going. So, you know, if you guys have ideas, hit us up, hit everybody up, and we'll get these things going. That's half the fun, and I think we're gonna start something really, really awesome with it.
Oh yeah, no, it'd be a lot of fun. Like I said, with us talking about like having guests and stuff like that, and doing guests on each other's shows and everything, I imagine we're gonna get a good like melting pot soup going on of all these
Yeah.
different
Mhm.
I'm
podcasts.
ready.
so excited
Yeah.
for it, honestly.
Totally.
And
Yeah.
giving those forever DMs as I point at Waffles, and I'm sure plenty others, a chance to like rotate around
To
there.
play.
Yeah. We
Yeah,
got
but
this,
like
guys.
even like a couple of months ago, I didn't even know about like the Laugh Finder podcast, another one in Baltimore. I wasn't even aware of a lot of these podcasts like us, like what we were, and this whole thing just seems. You told me I was going to be doing this 2 days ago. It would have been so weird to me, but this is awesome.
yeah.
Yay. That makes
Totally.
us super happy to hear, honestly. So thank you. On that wonderful note, Zach, please plug your amazing charity stream one more time for us.
Tomorrow at 6:00 Central Time, jump over to the Basically Good Twitch. We're going to be doing a charity one shot DM'd by me. I actually wrote it. And going to Direct Relief. Donations will affect different facets of the game. And the highest donation is going to walk out with, Silas, we'll go ahead and plug it right now. A handmade cedar DM screen. Dice is another prize that could be won. And a handmade cross stitch, I guess, Chance's fiance is making. He just said that.
That was a very recent update.
I like the I guess.
Anna can make something.
I
Yeah.
He said that's better than dice, and I'm just not having it. It's not.
Oh my god.
But again, 6:00 tomorrow. It's going to be a super long event, so just pop in, say hey, and donate for a great cause for COVID relief.
Yeah.
For sure.
Dragon Punch Squad podcast. Is there anything you guys want to plug or anything you want to give a shout out to?
I mean, shout out to I posted the artist that did the character art for John's character and everyone else on the podcast. So the link is in the chat right now. We'll shout him out on Twitter again. But tomorrow we will be doing another Pathfinder Society. Kelly will be running that one again, so I get to take another break from behind the GM screen. It feels nice.
Wait, is that tomorrow or Saturday, Jake?
Saturday. Sorry, yeah, Saturday. I don't know what day it is, dude.
I was like, here's the worst nightmare. I can't make it. I won't be able to be there.
No, all of my days run together. My bad. Yeah, so Saturday we try to start around 8:30. Ends up being 9 because some of us have
Eastern?
kids. Yes, Eastern time. Yeah. But yeah, so be there if you can. It's been a ton of fun. And if you guys can be there and just tell us what we're doing wrong, go ahead.
Perfect.
Could I plug one more person?
Oh yeah.
Jake probably knows who this is. We had a custom set of dice made for us with our logos on them. And that was when we used that for
That's so
dice
cool.
giveaway. And the amazing artist that made them for us was, I believe, Dice UI on
she's on Twitter. We can plug her as well. But yeah, she made us custom dice for our giveaway.
Wow.
So
and
cool.
then
So cool.
after the giveaway, when we it's a dice with a fiery fist on it. And then she actually sent us our own sets, and she gave us these. You gonna show yours, John?
I will, but it's vastly inferior to yours.
Yeah, so these are little diamonds with smoky figures inside of them. They
Oof.
look like Dementors.
Can you
Cool.
post, because it's slightly glitching out with your virtual
I know,
background? Can
yeah.
you post a
Oh,
picture
yeah.
at some point, like on Twitter or something like
Yes.
that? Okay.
We absolutely
Wow.
will, but yeah,
Yeah,
these
we will.
things
Those
are
are
super
awesome.
cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so Dice Hawaii on Twitter. Go ahead and find them, follow them. They make amazing stuff.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's
I want to say something to everybody, on here, which is that with everything being what it is, COVID, all that stuff, if you still want to support your podcast out there, especially, anyone, it would be so helpful. To the best ways, and it's completely free. Leave a review and subscribe and tell your friends, because that is the way to get the virtual free hype train going.
Yeah,
And I
totally.
think it would help
Yeah.
every single one of us, as well as any of your other favorite podcasts. So definitely, do that. Waffles, do you have anything?
Not particularly. We just enjoy doing this. This is our big thing right now. We're trying to get a lot of different people together to talk TTRPGs. Eventually, we're going to get a lot of people together to play TTRPGs. If I need to run a 12-person game, we're going to do it. One way or the other. So,
Bold words.
yep.
Round of
I'm ready.
combat.
We're gonna call him on his bluff, guys.
What a
I
terrible
will
way to
devise
have
a combat
quality.
system that's quick for 12 people. I'm ready.
That's not 2E.
Not too
Yeah,
not,
not
not
too easy.
whatsoever.
Not too
Right, that's going to be about 500 actions.
But yeah, this is just our big thing right now. Besides our streams on Sunday and Tuesday, and then our podcast, this is what we're kind of putting a lot of energy into, and it's showing and it's paying, and we love you guys for it.
Yeah. So once again, one last huge thank you to everybody for joining us today, and thank you for the questions in the chat and everything. We love that interaction, and we love every single one of you guys for joining us tonight. So thank you. Stick around because I think we're gonna try to raid somebody in the community. Who we got, Waffles?
Yep. We always raid people in the community. The only people
Amazing.
I see right now is the DAT network, the Dragons and Things network. I'm sure everyone's heard about them that knows anything about Pathfinder. We usually go for smaller people, but I don't see anyone streaming right now. Probably good for us. So we're gonna jump into them.
Jake, what's up?
They actually rated us to 2 streams ago.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
perfect.
Incredible.
Well, we'll
Yeah.
You
pay it
get
back
to pay
then.
him back.
Yeah.
All right, go
Yeah,
ahead.
so stay in there, spam them with some stuff, tell them where you're coming from, drop some hashtag TTRPG talks, and we'll get out of here.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Thank you
8
so
seconds.
much.